like 2 hours ago. I was like, oh, I forgot.
Like, oh, cool. Indiana, Notre Dame. That's great.
No, that's even better. But yeah,
a game that like really, really matters. Like these are, it's not just, oh, the Cotton Bowl or, oh, the Orange Bowl or the Sugar Bowl. Like, no, this is real now. And I'm excited to see how the format plays out. I'm excited to see, if we get any upsets in the first round. So yeah, it's gonna be great. Can't wait for tonight. Can't wait for tomorrow as well. Even though most of the day I'll be on a plane, which sucks. I was I was texting back and forth with John, and I was like, "Oh, great! I'm on a plane when you got 2 NFL games happening, and then all day college football playoff."
Well, maybe you'll get lucky. The game's it's on TNT, so most if you have a plane that has a TV in the back, they usually have TNT.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I know that most flights I've been on that go back east,
you'll at least get to watch an NFL game. One of the two will be on.
I'll have to probably buy the internet. Like, I'm already preparing myself. Like, boom, I got to buy the internet for this thing. Because I can't go a 6-hour flight and not watch something. Like, 2-hour flight, that's fine. 3-hour flight, okay, maybe. But like 6-hour flight, I need to have internet. I need to have access to things because there is so much happening tomorrow.
Can't just look outside the window.
No, I can't. And I wouldn't be able to look outside the window because what I have realized, Brent, is that being newly married as I am,
Aaron likes the window.
I will forever be the middle seat princess. Forever. That's how it is from now on. It is Aaron gets the window seat, I get the middle seat or the aisle seat. That's just how it works. That's how life works now. She's the passenger princess in the car. I'm the flight princess in the plane. Middle seat for the rest of my life. That's how it is. Everybody out there, just let you know. Once you get married, you become the middle seat on a plane or the aisle. It is what it is. So we'll get into the college football playoff coming up here in a bit. Also, San Diego State, big time commit last night. We've been talking about it on the show a little bit. We'll get into that later this hour. Big get for the Aztecs and Sean Lewis. But we'll start with where we have started for the last 3 days. Your San Diego Padres. And, every single day, it's been that. Now, I'm not surprised by any movement or any non-movement. I'm really not. And that's not what I wanted to start the show with today. But the Padres definitely are tied together with Roki Sasaki. And whatever Roki does directly, impacts what the Padres do. Reports today are that Roki Sasaki is meeting with the Chicago Cubs. Must be nice. The Cubs, according to Mark Feinsand, are a dark horse in the race for Roki Sasaki.
I told everyone that he mixed up. He never meant to go to the White Sox. They meant the Cubs the whole time.
But here's the kicker. So reports are coming out. Let me just pull this up here.
He's probably like, damn, it's cold.
Well, funny you say that, Brent, because Bruce Levine, however you pronounce his last name, he works for The Score in Chicago.
Yeah.
He is reporting that Roki Sasaki, yes, is meeting with the Chicago Cubs today, but, and here's the interesting part that I was like, wait, what? All of Roki Sasaki's meetings with any team are in LA. So every single team that he meets with, the Mets, the Yankees, the Cubs, the White Sox, the Padres, the Giants, the Red Sox, according to Bruce Levine, will all take place in Los Angeles. You know how just infuriating it's going to be when he ends up inevitably picking the Dodgers, and to have all these teams go meet with him in LA, where I think that's where his agents' offices are, okay? and then he ends up just picking the Dodgers. Like, you travel to LA to meet with this guy, meet with his agent, because I guess his agent, is based in Los Angeles. That's what is being reported. To have him then just be like, actually, I'm going to stay in LA with the Dodgers. Do you think he's staying with Yoshinobu Yamamoto right now? Like, after these meetings are over, he just goes back to Yoshinobu's house and they just chill and hang out by the pool? Or do you think he's like staying in Ohtani's like guest house? Wouldn't that be something? Like, oh, by the way, Roki, after this meeting, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going back home. Where are you staying? Oh, I'm staying at Ohtani's place. Collusion. Like, what? So I thought that was interesting little twist in the Roki sweepstakes that, yeah, he's meeting with, it's being like reported every day. Like today, like yesterday, he met with the Mets. A couple days ago, it was the Yankees. First was the White Sox. Now it's the Cubs today.
Can you imagine if you're the Yankees and like you're the team rep that they send to go meet with them, and you fly all the way across the country, and then like you said, then he just picks the Dodgers or something, and it's just like, oh, I guess I'll just get right back on that plane and fly all the way back.
It's
at least we only got to drive 90 minutes up the road, right? LT.
Yeah, exactly. LT. It only takes like what, an hour and a half?
Like now 45 minutes.
It's like 45 minutes to get to LA, bro. It would take literally 45 minutes if you were going 120 miles per hour up to 5 and there was no traffic.
Oh, dude, in like 2 hours, it'd take you 45 minutes just to get to Miramar.
So Roki Sasaki meeting with the Cubs today. Interesting twist that it's in LA. And not only is it in LA, it's for every single team. So, I mean, look, I am hoping that very quickly here we get reports that the Padres are meeting with Roki Sasaki. Does it matter where they meet? Not really, but the optics of it, though, even if his agent, is based in LA, that shouldn't. He should go to the ballpark. He should go around the city. Now, again, maybe he does, and maybe he has, and maybe he will. Like, maybe this is like a first round where he's just like vetting teams out, and then he's going to make a cut, like The Bachelor. Like, today the Mets got a rose, and the Cubs got a rose. Sorry, White Sox, you don't get a rose. You're eliminated. Maybe that's it. Maybe there's multiple meetings that will take place. Maybe this is just round one. But if it's not, and this is like these teams' only chance to get in front of Roki Sasaki and present themselves and, give their best pitch on why Roki should choose them to be, with them for the next 6 years at minimum and turn into an ace and a frontline pitcher and yada, 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 then I would be like, that's a little weird. Because if it were me, I mean, this is like full-on recruiting trip, college style. Like, I'm taking you to like the best restaurant in town. I'm giving you a tour of the stadium. I'm giving you an inside glimpse of everything that you need to know about the area. Like, I'm doing that all. If this is just like a Zoom meeting or whatever,
like,
I mean,
all right,
what?
You'll meet him at the Hilton at 2 p.m. Come with a PowerPoint presentation prepared. You have 45 minutes.
Yeah, you got
to state your case.
Yeah, so it is interesting that
there will be punch and pie.
That the meetings are in LA. Maybe there will be new developments in the Roki sweepstakes where he does go to these places. But I mean, if he ends up picking the Dodgers, Brent, you can't. It just all looks fishy with the reports of the under the table handshake and then meeting in LA. Like I mean, every team that has put so much into trying to get Roki Sasaki for as long as they have, then to just end up losing out on him and he goes to the Dodgers after these reports and they might be false. Okay. I tend to believe that they're false. And then them meeting in LA, maybe it means nothing, but guess what? I'm going to take it as something right now.
I was going to say, would you feel the same way if he made everyone come to New York?
Like,
Instead of doing exactly what he's doing now, only say his agent, Joe/Joel Wolf was based out of New York City instead of LA, and he made everyone come to New York. Same way he's doing now, only instead of going to LA, they go to New York.
I mean, if
Would
you
you still feel paranoid that he's going to
Yeah.
go to the Mets or the Yankees?
For sure. If you told me like, yeah, the Mets and the Yankees are like favorites to land Roki Sasaki.
All right, our meeting will be held in Boise, Idaho.
Just go to the most rural place.
We will go
in the
someplace
country
where there is nothing.
Yeah, where is
The 50-yard line of the Smurf turf.
Yeah, where's the worst place to go in America? Let's meet there.
Meet me in Green Bay.
Meet me in Green Bay. I mean, if you want to talk
Meet
about
me at the Perkins.
I mean, if you do want to talk about like worst places in America, LA is awful. So,
Not if you're rich.
that is true. If you're rich,
if you're rich, it's good.
If you're rich, it's great. If you're rich, anywhere is great.
Or soon to be rich as he's going to be.
That is true. That is true. Rich in the chat says, meet in Imperial Beach. I mean, it does smell like ass down there still.
Go meet by the Tijuana River.
Yeah. Don't. He would not choose San Diego.
I know.
That we are not going to Imperial Beach. If Roki comes to San Diego, no. I love Imperial Beach, but he might be turned off by the smell. So yeah, I don't know. It's just weird optics that he's meeting in LA. All right, coming up next, Jurickson Profar has stated how many years he wants and how much money he wants. We'll discuss that coming up next. right, so we now know what Jurickson Profar is looking for in free agency. We've kind of been quiet on that front for a while, and seeing the market and how it's played out, it's only been like guessing recently. Like, oh, what is Profar looking for? What is he looking for? What is he looking for? And we're gonna hear from Kevin Acee coming up at the bottom of the hour, and he'll discuss the Profar market. But yesterday, it was reported by Jeff Passan that Jurickson Profar is looking for a 3-year around. He's looking for 3 years and around $45 million. If that's the case, that's hard to envision Jurickson Profar returning here to San Diego. I would love if Jurickson Profar returned to San Diego. I think that when you look at the team dynamic over the last 3 years, 2022 was really good. Profar was here. 2023, it was almost cursed. It was awful. Profar wasn't here. Last year, it was the best it's been in years. Profar was here. Is Profar like the main reason why? No. But I think he's a big part of that. I think he's a huge part of the success of the Padres over the last, 3, 4, 5 seasons. I think what he brings to the clubhouse, what he brings onto the field, and most importantly, he brings this edge to the team that was just missing in 2023. If he ends up going to, I don't know, say the Dodgers, like that'd be awful. But, he goes to the Dodgers, he's immediately going to give them an edge. Now, they're the defending World Series champions, and they don't really need that edge, but still, he's like the guy that you want on your team, and everyone else, other teams hate him. I think that bringing back Profar is more than just what he does on the field. Now, do I think he can repeat what he did on the field at any point of his career that's remaining? Like, no, I don't. I think he could have good seasons remaining for sure. But what he brings to the team more than just what he does on the field is that grit, is that edge. This team needs an edge. Profar gave them that edge last year. Anytime there was like, not a scuffle, but just anything that would happen on the field between both teams, like Profar was the guy. He was the front of that line. He was not going to take any S-talking from anybody. Now, he returned it for sure, and he trash-talked himself, but like that's the edge that this team needs. So bringing back Profar is more than just what he does on the field. And unfortunately, if the price tag is 3 years, $45 million, I don't know if that's gonna happen here in San Diego. I just don't envision it. I mean, you're gonna hear Kevin up in here in a bit. He even says like, yeah, $15 million a year. That is not a price that the Padres are willing to go to. And if Profar goes out and gets 3 years for $45 million, that's $15 a year. So, yeah, I want Profar back. I'm sure a lot of fans want Profar back as well. I'm sure the team wants Profar back. But right now, if that's what he is looking for, are you willing to give up Luis Arraez to bring back Jurickson Profar? Are you willing to give up Dylan Cease to bring back Jurickson Profar? No. Like, that shouldn't be the trade-off. And right now it is. Like, Profar is a really nice player. He's not worth trade-offs of Dylan Cease. Luis Arraez, you could argue. But Luis Arraez also, his track record is he literally walks out the door every morning as one of the best hitters in the game. He gets to the ballpark. Every time he steps in the batter's box, he's going to give you a good at bat. Profar is going to give you a great at bat as well, but he's also going to hit you 300 every single year. Profar, he hit 280, I think 280 something last year. And that was easily the highest batting average he's ever had in his entire career. Do you expect Jurickson Profar to hit 280 something 2 out of the next 3 years if he gets a 3-year contract when he's never done it in his career besides last year? Maybe. I just don't think that the odds are in the favor of him doing that, unfortunately.
I'm looking at other like potential free agent outfielders.
There's nothing.
I don't know. It's it's Christmas theme. It's like the
Cole.
It's the outfielders of Padres past, because we got Travis Jankowski, Tommy Pham.
No, they cannot come home again.
Manny Margot, and it's just like all these dudes that used to play for the Padres at one point in time. So there's nothing in there. It's all a bunch of old guys.
Yeah, and the top of the market too, Anthony Santander and Teoscar Hernandez.
They're gonna want too much money.
Those two guys are at a different level. It's those two guys, and then Profar and Bader, who just signed.
We'll get stuck with Robbie Grossman,
Conforto, who signed, and then the bottom of that list. So it's unfortunate that it seems like there won't be a reunion with Profar next year. Hope I'm wrong, but also you have to look at the numbers, and the numbers don't line up. And if you bring back Profar, then you're most likely going to have to unload somebody to make that work out. So we'll see what happens with Jurickson Profar. All right, coming up next, if you missed it earlier, Kevin Acee, he joined us this offseason to talk about all the Padres' needs. Don't worry, nothing's changed. So you'll hear from Kevin Acee on all that coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. We'll start in college football. The college football playoffs start in Indiana, taking on Notre Dame in South Bend, 5 p.m. kickoff time there. Tomorrow night, the Aztecs take on Cal up in San Jose, 7:30 p.m. time. Tip time, you can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. And San Diego FC today drafted Manu Dua from UCSB with the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 Super Draft. Score deep discussions and deeper sleep. Sorry, let me start that over again. This stupid read. Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Take up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Shop today for free and fast delivery. Restrictions do apply. Thank you. Yeah, like 99% of the time, I'll pull up a read, and the first time I'm going to read it is when I do the update. And sometimes I'm looking at it, and maybe I have bad eyesight. I don't know. It like the words, I'm like, what? Score deep? Like, I don't know. It just
I can't do that with those.
It like kind of sometimes goes together. Now, John would call me an idiot and say, like, I can't believe you couldn't read that. You're a moron. You're a stupid idiot.
Some of those, especially when they get into like the disclaimers at the end.
Oh yeah.
Some of those they can get kind of tricky, and inside baseball, they don't put any punctuation in the copies for that stuff. So you'll just the first time you might just read it straight through, and it's going to sound dumb, like you don't know how to read, and then you're like, wait, I have to add punctuation and stuff to these, and now it sounds like an actual paragraph.
That's every other one of my updates that have new reads. By the end of the show, I'll have this thing down pat. But the first update, second update, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. All right, Kevin Acee joined us earlier this offseason. Like I said, don't worry. This is evergreen. Like nothing has changed so far with the Padres. And we talked to Kevin first about what could they get back in a hypothetical Dylan Cease trade.
Well, if you're talking about a left fielder that is major league ready, maybe even as a major leaguer, you're talking about probably also prospects that maybe you could then flip to, either get more prospects, or different prospects, or, get somebody else because they have needs while needing to maybe not necessarily trim payroll, but trim from what right now, if they were to keep everybody and then also try to sign Roki Sasaki and a left fielder. I mean, they can't afford to do that. They just can't. There are budgetary concerns, just like there were last year, by the way, but they had that Juan Soto chip, right? And that helped them do a lot. And so while they are taking calls on a lot of people, Michael King included, the one that's the most serious, the one that where I have actually heard from people with other teams that think they're motivated to, with C. That's the one that can get you a real return to help you.
Mike Schilt the other day talked about parameters that AJ Preller has to deal with. Is this offseason, in an offseason where they are still in a compete now mode? They were, as I'm sure they probably thought, very close last year. They felt like that was maybe the team that was going to do it. Does it feel like this offseason is one of the most difficult for Preller with not a lot of resources to have at his disposal?
I think really the difference between this year and last year is they have a better roster, but don't have Juan Soto to trade. That's the difference. They trimmed $100 million from their payroll last year, and it was more than that at the start of the season. So, I think the difference this year, you didn't come into it with this gigantic chip that was going to be able to, if you did it right, and Preller did do it right, was to be able to get you a bunch of players, and then obviously you resort to get Dylan Cease, and then have Michael King contribute, have Randy Vasquez contribute, have Gacciosa contribute. I think that we should feel better about the team that they have. I think their bullpen's very good. They've got some core players. Looks like Manny Machado is Manny Machado for now. Fernando Tatis Jr. There's lots to be positive about, but with similar holes to last year, that there's no guarantee that you're going to find yourself a Jurickson Profar for $1 million or anywhere close to it, as a matter of fact. And there's no guarantee you're going to find yourself a Donovan Solano, a David Peralta, that, all the guys they ended up adding in the middle of the year, Luis Arraez. Of course, Luis is already on their roster. But yes, it's a paring down, but that's what it was last year. That's the reality of the Padres now.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider on San Diego Sports 760. He's with us right now on Jon and Jim. Well, it's interesting. The idea of trading Dylan Cease, would that then lead you down a path that they have a level of confidence that they can backfill by trading for a starter, or there's some level of confidence in Roki Sasaki? Because I just asked the question, Kevin, and to your point, I think a lot of people were down on the Juan Soto trade, the idea of trading Juan Soto, but they won 93 games and they competed in the National League postseason as well. It seems like it doesn't run in parallel, trading Dylan Cease and being a contender. So if you trade Dylan Cease, how do you backfill a rotation that wouldn't have Cease or Musgrove as well?
Well, you better get some other guys, right? So Roki Sasaki, you do try and trade. They have a certain amount of confidence, and it's part of what I'm investigating now. Who would they be looking at? Is it internally where you're going to give Adrian Morejon another shot? I haven't heard anything to convince me that that's the case, but I'm trying to take it down a road of that like where they try to find something where the last 2 years they've had the Seth Lugo, the Michael Walker Reclamation Project, Michael King stepping up, those sorts of things that do they find someone, and I know that's not going to make anybody reassure anybody who's like, oh no, getting rid of Dylan Cease, this is a big deal. But like the reality is they need something to be able to turn around, and you're saving money ostensibly, or at least you're trading one guy who you're going to pay $15 million for multiple guys to fill multiple holes for similar money, and that's what I believe that they're looking to do. I believe that's what they have to do.
Kevin, it feels like their confidence level on getting and landing Roki Sasaki is very, very high. Do you think that is that the case?
I felt like that for a long time. That it's as high as it could be. Not. I think that it can definitely be read into way too much what Mike Shildt said yesterday, and that would be someone that would either not familiar with or is setting aside Mr. Positive, the way that Mike Shildt talks. And so, of course, there's going to be a billion about their chances to get Roki Sasaki. But just when I say that, that doesn't mean that he's not confident, that they're not confident, because Mike Shilt's confidence would come from people in the personnel department, because Mike Shildt wouldn't be involved in all that. So absolutely, they're confident. They have a lot of things going for them. And then further today, if you want to read into some of the things that Joel Wolf, Sasaki's agent, said, though still they could be read in way too much, because the bottom line is Joel Wolf said, I haven't really got with my client quite yet on all of these specifics. And Joel Wolf's a pretty straightforward guy. So I don't want to give anybody too much hope, but I think the fact is the Padres are absolutely confident about this, and they believe, and others believe, that there's good reason for that.
Well, don't you think, a fan base, it's fragile times, coming off of the 24 scoreless innings against the Dodgers and all the talk about lowering payroll again, and then you have your manager come out and say, yeah, we expect Sasaki to be with the Padres next year. I mean, that's kind of setting it up for, I know the Shiltisms that you talked about, but as a normal fan, they're looking at this and thinking to themselves, Kevin, man, we got Roki Sasaki. And if that doesn't happen, that's not going to be, I feel like, a good look.
Well, again, that's on anyone who read too much into what Mike Shildt said. I mean, look, you got to have confidence. Mike Shildt later went on. I didn't hear the radio interview. I saw what he said. I heard that part of it. I don't think he expanded on it on the radio, but later when speaking here, he expanded to basically he's trying to sell the Padres to Roki Sasaki and outlining all the things that are good about the Padres. And he acknowledged, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. But yes, that's Mike Shildt. Go back. We can find a bunch of things that it sounds like Mike Shildt saying more than he is. Because he is so positive. And I give him credit for being willing to talk about it, as opposed to Dave Roberts, who would not talk about Roki Sasaki at all. Of course, Dave Roberts learned his lesson last year, I guess, when he at the winter meetings, he talked about Shohei Ohtani and got a lot of blowback. So maybe that'll be Mike Shildt next year. But look, they're extremely confident, and they're in the game. And fortunately for them, he's coming when he's 23 years old and only has 4 years of experience. versus 25 with 6 years of experience, because then he would be out of their price range. So this is a really good thing. Middle of January will be a very interesting and exciting time for Padres and their fans.
What's the market, Kevin? Final one for me is what's the market look like for Jurickson Profar? Is there a scenario where the Padres are able to retain him, or is it out of their price range?
There is a scenario. I don't know that it's a real clear market right now, other than to say that you would expect, and the people I've talked to, and that does not include AJ Preller or Dan Lozano, his agent, but people, around that the market is, a couple of years at 15 or more, and that's out of the Padres range.
Kevin, we appreciate it. We know it's really busy. Great insight, great reporting. We enjoyed your work earlier today in the Union Tribune, and safe travels, and thanks for hopping on with us here in San Diego.
Right on, guys. Always. See you.
All right, so nothing's changed at all. So everything that Kevin said there still stands today. And if the Padres are really hoping that a Dylan Cease trade could get them a starting left fielder, maybe a pitcher, like we talked about earlier this week, yeah, you could, but at the same time, probably going to have to get prospects that you really don't know much about or have very little time in the big leagues that will end up having to make big contributions next year. So we'll wait and see on that. Coming up next, San Diego State football, they landed a quarterback. We'll tell you who that is, where he came from. We'll talk about him. All that coming up next on Jon and Jim. Okay, so during that break, Brent, my mic was on, bro. Don't worry, I didn't say anything. But I'm looking at our YouTube chat. So, like during breaks, you can't hear commercials because on YouTube chat, you don't want to have commercials there and radio, whatever. So I see in the chat, nice burp. I'm like, what? And I'm like, I was just burping, but I'm off air. I look over, I'm like, oh no, the mic was hot. So then I go back and I listen on YouTube, and I'm just like singing to myself, and I'm like burping. So during that last break, if you were listening or watching us on YouTube, um, sorry about that. Ivan says nice burp. Um, Normal Height says someone gets gin and Alka Seltzer. Yeah, I'm a little gassy right now. Sorry about that. Glad I'm in the studio by myself. I need to burp. Sorry. So if you're listening to the radio, probably didn't hear it, but if you're watching on YouTube, yeah, you definitely heard that. So I apologize. This just came down on my timeline, and it's like really no surprise. It's kind of one of those things like, oh, no blank, no S. So according to Buster Olney, he says the Dodgers are, quote, probably the betting favorites among executives for Roki. What does that even mean, dude? They're probably the betting favorites. That's like it's like a uneducated guess or an educated guess or whatever you want to call it. Probably. I probably am going to do this today. Probably the betting favorites. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, he's been the favorite. They've been the favorites this whole time. Nothing's changed. Meeting in LA is not something that's like different. That's going to change something. Like, if anything, it's going to make it be even more fishy if he does choose the Dodgers. But it doesn't change the odds of like where he goes. So we'll talk about more with Roki Sasaki coming up later in the show. Cynthia Freeland's going to join us at 4 p.m. Also, we're going to give away some Holiday Bowl tickets. So stay listening for that. Last night, after the show, because we got off at 5:15 because of Thursday Night Football. Of course, it happened. Boom, Brent. Right as the show ended. I'm not even kidding. Right as the show ended, this news dropped. San Diego State gets Michigan transfer quarterback Jaden Dengel. This is a guy that hasn't played much. He was on the 2023 Michigan National Championship team. He's 6'5", 235 pounds. He's from Apple Valley. It's about 150 miles north of San Diego. He has 2 years of eligibility left. Reading this piece from Kurt Kenny says, the culture that Coach Lewis is building here in San Diego State, I really like it. I'm a California guy. I wanted to come back home, take over the Mountain West, win some games. That's my plan. I like it a lot. He doesn't have much playing time. Now, they could go out and get another quarterback, too. This is not just like this guy is their starter. You know, they went out last year and got A.J. Duffy. They got Danny O'Neal, right? Danny O'Neal ended up starting, but for a lot of the offseason, we thought A.J. Duffy was going to be the starter. I like it from this standpoint. The dude is 6'5", 230. You know, nothing against Danny O'Neal. He couldn't help it, but he was not a big quarterback. He was not a guy that back there imposed his will as far as like size and stature. And like, he wasn't 6'5". He was 5'10". He wasn't 235. He was probably just a little over 200. So that's what I like to see. I like to see, all right, you're bringing in a quarterback here. Great. You need a quarterback, obviously. The dude is massive. Now, it's yet to be determined how he's going to play, if he does play. You know, looking at his numbers here, he only threw 5 passes, okay, in 2023. I don't think he played last year, but he completed 4 of 5 pass attempts for 50 yards and throwing for a touchdown against Nebraska. He said of the experience for playing for Jim Harbaugh, said, quote, getting all the valuable lessons that I got from Coach Harbaugh, going against the number 1 defense in the country every single day, playing with one of the best offensive lines and receivers and running backs, first-round draft picks, winning a national championship. I feel like that's helped me prepare for essentially my time now. So this dude is definitely coming in here with the mindset of, all right, he is going to be the starting quarterback for the Aztecs next year. So I'm not going to say that, oh, yeah, this guy's the savior and he's going to put up 4,000 passing yards next year and 30 touchdowns and have a crazy season, right? But I do like the measurables. I do like how he's big. I do like how he has a big arm. So we'll see. But, you know, losing damn near your entire quarterback room this offseason in the transfer portal, the big question for San Diego State was, all right, who is Sean Lewis going to get to be the quarterback next year? Or what quarterbacks is he going to get? He already picked one up via recruiting out of high school. gets this guy from Michigan. I'm sure he'll go out and get some more. This is not the end of, I think, the quarterback carousel here this offseason for San Diego State. So I'm excited. I'm not like gonna proclaim that this is going to turn this team into a 9 or 10 win team next year, but I do like how the quarterback that he brought in is from, was at Michigan. That's a good program. Not the best for quarterbacks, I understand that, but still. And he's 6'5", 230. I like that a lot. So we'll see. And they are not done. They are definitely not done. All right, coming up next, an interesting take from baseball players about the want or the reported want of the Padres trading Luis Arraez. Interesting to hear what they'll have to say coming up next right here on Jon and Jim. This update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. College football playoffs get underway tonight as Indiana takes on Notre Dame in South Bend, 5 p.m. kickoff time there. Tomorrow night, the Aztecs take on Cal up in San Jose, 7:30 tip time. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. And San Diego FC today drafted Manu Dua from UCSB with the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 Super Draft. Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Take up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Shop today for free and fast delivery. Restrictions do apply.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
Baseball benefited off it greatly. And I don't really think they've recovered since. Dodgers-Yankees World Series this past year was a big moment for baseball, but you haven't gotten back to that where baseball has broke through on a national level for something that is praised instead of criticized. Like the only time any news outlets or anything are talking about baseball, either it's criticism or a scandal.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, hour 2 on Jon and Jim on a Friday. Christmas is right around the corner. Happy holidays to everybody out there. If you're traveling today or tomorrow, good luck. I will need it. You will need it probably. I just saw something on my timeline that San Diego airports have been in massive delays for the last couple days. I mean, fog has been a massive issue. So if you are traveling out there, like, just be patient. You know, just be patient, and hopefully you get to where you need to go as quickly as possible. So, you know, Luis Arraez and Dylan Cease, those are the 2 names that we've talked about and have been talked about as far as players in the Padres that are most likely to get traded. You know, most likely to be moved in order to make other moves. Like before they can, you know, fill out their roster, they're going to have to come to a resolution on what to do with Luis Arraez or Dylan Cease. And I understand that. Do I like it? No. But I understand it because of the parameters that the ownership group has now given to AJ Preller, which is make this the most cost-effective roster you can. Now, I argue all the time. If the first thing that you are saying is let's be cost effective, yeah, I kind of feel like you've already lost. Now, I don't feel that this team is going to be bad next year. I am still hopeful that they'll be good because they do have a lot of really good pieces on this team. But the undertone of the way that we're going to build this roster for the 2025 season has to be based on, can we be cost effective with it? That's tough. Now, they did it last year, but at the same time, it's easy to do when you have Juan Soto to trade away. So Todd Frazier, former Major League Baseball player, was on the Foul Territory podcast, and he's confused, just like a lot of people out there are in the baseball world, as to why the Padres might be so willing to trade a guy like Luis Arraez.
I love Luis Arraez. I think he's absolutely unbelievable. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. He's a guy that you are going to love and enjoy watching play. And he's just one of those dudes. Whether you want to trade for him now or later, I don't know why everybody is not on his tail. This is a dude. He's a trendsetter. He's a guy. I don't know why the Padres are trying to get rid of him. I mean, if somebody has an answer for me, I don't know. He's one of the prolific hitters in the game, and he just understands how to play. He's not the power guy, but he's an on-base machine. He doesn't strike out. Kratzy, you talk about it all the time. But people that don't strike out, they get after and get on base.
I'll tell you why they're not looking to keep him. The offseason, everybody punches in their algorithm. They're like, how many WAR is this player? Luis Arraez is only going to give us 0.7 WAR this year. He could have a great year and give us 1 WAR.
Yeah.
That's what they're they're doing right now. Teams are
Silly.
doing that right now. But the guy just keeps – when he was in Minnesota, they were a good team. When he went to Miami, they made the playoffs. When he went to San Diego, they made it back into the playoffs. He's a guy that helps a team win. Teams don't build winners right now. They build war in the offseason. So that's why his name will always be floated out there. But that's why I don't think it would be in the offseason that would move.
That's a really good point. The last 3 teams that Luis Arraez has been on, they've all been winners. The Miami Marlins were in the postseason when Luis Arraez was on the team. The Minnesota Twins were good. The Padres were good last year. He's won multiple batting titles. And I do think last year, a reason why, his on base was down and at times he did not look like himself because I think he was hurt. I think that hand injury really affected him. And he gutted through it, and he still hit 300. And he still, led the league in batting average. I think a fully healthy Luis Arraez is what every team should want. Like, every team should want a guy that could potentially hit 330 for you in a season. Okay, yeah, he's not going to walk. Okay. Guys like Jay Posner can cry about that all they want. But to me, Luis Arraez is a winner. To me, Luis Arraez, I want him on my team. I want him at the top of my batting order because he's never going to strike out and he's going to lead the league in batting. And he's in his prime. He's not 34 years old either. He's in his 20s. And if you were to give him a long-term contract, what does that long-term contract look like? Is it less than 15 AAV? Or would he demand more? Again, if you didn't have Jake Cronenworth, you can give him essentially the Jake Cronenworth contract, not as many years, but you could be like, hey, 5 years, $75 million. Would you take that? I don't know if he would. If he's a guy that's looking at to get a $100+ million contract, then yeah, that's not happening here. So I'm with Todd Frazier there. I think a lot of people feel the same way. Is like, you move off Luis Arraez, I feel like that lineup's going to have a little bit of a problem. I mean, think about this. If you don't have Luis Arraez and you don't have Jurickson Profar next year, you have just lost 2 of your best ABs on the team because you are trying to be cost effective. That will really hurt their lineup. Profar is a great at bat. He was leading off games before they had Luis Arraez. Then once they had Luis Arraez, they put him into the leadoff spot. And when he got here, it was like, boom, rocket ship. Dude balled out immediately. Then he got hurt. And I think that is what really affected him for the rest of the year. But he still hit, 315, 314? Led the league in batting? Imagine what this guy could do when healthy. Oh, that's right. Hit 330 plus. Look at the 2023 Luis Arraez and the 2024. Big difference. Still over 300. But I think that a healthy Luis Arraez can be in the middle of that. I don't think he's going to be top level, damn near almost hit, 370. But I don't think he's going to be a right around 300 hitter for you next year either. I think it could be like a 320, 325, 330 hitter for you. And if he's healthy, how would you not want that at the top of your lineup? But again, it's all about money. It's all about, can they be cost effective? Can they sign him to the right price? Okay. So there is a world where potentially those 2 guys, Profar and Arraez, aren't in your lineup next year. that will be a problem. I don't think that the Padres want to do that. I think they want to bring back and have Luis Arraez here for the long term. I think they want to bring back Jurickson Profar. Those are two guys that just give you, good at bats after good at bats all the time. And you have one of them who never strikes out, like ever. I would want that on my team. I don't care about the war with Luis Arraez. Talked about it before. The war with him means like nothing. He brings something to the table that isn't like measured for war, which is doesn't strike out. I think that's valuable. And he's one of a kind when it comes to that. No, like you look at the numbers, Luis Arraez, it was some crazy numbers like like Nick Castellanos has struck out 183 times this year. Luis Arraez has struck out 183 times in his entire career or some crazy number like that. And that's just, an example of how crazy some of his numbers are. But yeah, if they do trade Luis Arraez, it will be a giant head scratcher.
I'd rather just keep Arraez and get rid of not re-sign Profar.
But
if you're gonna have to pick one of them,
at
least Arraez is consistent.
I'm with you on that, but it still is the question of like, okay, you keep Luis Arraez. Well, then you're going to have to maybe get rid of Dylan Cease because you can't keep Arraez and you can't keep Cease, and you can't go out and get the players that you need to fill these holes. Because with what they have now, the whole run it back thing that everyone was like, they need to run it back. They run it back. They're not going to be able to go out and get anybody else because of all the money that these players are going to get through arbitration. That ends up being more than the CBT number of 241. It would be over that. And they have said, like, hell or high water, we are not going over that CBT next year. And because of that, some tough decisions will have to be made. I don't like it, but it's almost like it's a necessary evil now with this Padres team. All right, coming up next, the college football playoffs start tonight. We'll give our picks on the college football playoffs and tell you who's going to win this weekend. Coming up next on Jon and Jim.
All right, back here on Jon and Jim. The college football playoff starts tonight. Indiana, Notre Dame. And then tomorrow, you got SMU, Penn State, Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State. Just throughout the entire day, starting at 9 a.m. Last game's at 5 p.m. 8 p.m. kickoff at Ohio State. Weather's like 10 degrees. And all of these games are going to be just insane cold weather. I don't even know what the weather forecast is in South Bend tonight. It's December. But it's got to be like right now, it's 29 degrees. Oh, I got it right. It's 29 degrees in South Bend. It feels like 20 degrees. The low tonight will be 24 degrees. So it's going to be really, really cold. I look at this game tonight and look at all these games. Like, Notre Dame's favored by 7 points tomorrow. Penn State's favored by 9 points over SMU. Texas is favored by 12 points over Clemson. Ohio State's favored by 7 points over Tennessee. I think you're going to get at least one upset here. If you get chalked the entire way, would I be surprised? A little bit. Like, if I were to pick one team to throw up an upset, I might go tie with Indiana over Notre Dame. Other than that, maybe Tennessee over Ohio State, but
That would be mine.
That's going to be a tough game for Tennessee. Like, I think Clemson is going to get boat raced against Texas. I think SMU is going to have a very tough time against Penn State.
I think Notre Dame and Penn State they'll both win by at least 2 scores, but they'll kind of struggle and just leave the other team hang around till the second half. Then they'll pull away.
I also would be surprised too if we get like 4 straight blowouts.
I don't think that'll happen.
Well, right now, I mean, you're looking at all the betting odds. Nothing's close. Everything's a touchdown or more.
I think Tennessee, Ohio State is going to be close. And like I said, I think Penn State, SMU will be close for most of the game, but then I think Penn State will pull away.
I think you're right about that. And then Penn State would go on to face Boise State. So I hope that, these games are actually good because it's the first year of the college football playoff. They want to put on a good show. They don't want to have blowouts. And I mean, if you end up having in the finals of the CFP, Oregon versus Georgia, that's be like, oh, what the hell? Like, do you want to see an underdog make a run for this? Do you want to see Boise State make a run for this? Do you want to see like a Clemson, a 12 seed, make a run? How is this going to look? I think we're all going to find out in real time. Is a 12-team playoff going to give legit opportunities to teams 12 through, 8, a legitimate chance to win a college football championship?
They're not going to want blowouts either because there's NFL going up against them tomorrow. So if, say this isn't going to happen, but say Penn State jumps up and they're up 40 at halftime tomorrow morning, guess who is going to shut that off and turn on the NFL game that starts at 10 o'clock? Everyone. Except for John.
Except for college football degenerates.
John and Rich.
That is true. So Indiana and Notre Dame, and I'm watching television right now. They're warming up. The classic, like, we're going to warm up in the cold weather without our shirts on. Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of that cold weather gear they have on, it looks thin, but it's like 6 winter coats.
They're not even wearing anything, though, Brent. I'm talking about the players on the field, not the announcers.
That's what I'm talking about.
The players on the field are out there with no shirts on, and they're like,
that guy's got long sleeves on.
No, you missed it. There are other players that were working out on the field. They
probably got
no
that
shirts.
jelly on there.
Jelly?
Yeah, they put like there's this like petroleum jelly stuff that they rub on their arms.
Keeps
that-
them warm.
Kind sort of, yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Well, anyway, it starts tonight, 5 p.m. Indiana, Notre Dame. Hope it's a good game. I would like an upset just because I don't want this thing to be chalk. I want these games to be interesting. And it will start at 5 p.m. I'm glad there's at least one college football playoff game tonight. Oh, man, it looks like it's snowing there almost. It looks like it's very cold. I'm glad we are not there. All right, coming up next, San Diego State.
I wish I was there. They got pizza.
That is true. I do want some pizza. But coming up next, San Diego State hired a new defensive coordinator this off season. You'll hear from him coming up next.
All right, Hamul Casino. It's Jon and Jim for our friends over at Hamul. It's a great month to get out there. It really is this holiday season. You can join them every Monday this month. You'll have chances to win big luxury handbags, top brands like Louis Vuitton, Versace, and more. They've got 10 winners every hour. 7, 8, 9 p.m. Onyx players receiving an extra $100 in cash bonuses, plus one lucky winner each hour will have the opportunity to pick a purse packed with cash. We're talking about up to $25,000, and you'll get to keep the purse as well.
Yeah, and if you're lucky enough to win a Louis Vuitton, Burberry, or Versace purse, or win that and $25,000 in cash, you can head on over to Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, Loft 94, or their poker room to watch all the sporting action that they have for you. NFL, college basketball, college football, NBA, NHL, they have it all.
Also, New Year's Eve, just over 2 weeks away. Get to Hamul. They've got the holographic New Year's party. You can celebrate in style. They'll kick off festivities with $20 free play for all, beginning at noon. Make it an unforgettable New Year's celebration out of Hamul Casino.
Yeah, get ready for New Year's with Hamul. You can also win a lot of money with Hamul, some stylish handbags at Hamul, and watch all the sporting events you want. And they have great dining experiences, too, with amazing food selections. Only at Hamul Casino. It's fun above all else. This update's brought to you by Mattress Firm. We'll start with the college football playoffs. They get underway tonight, 5 p.m. in South Bend as Indiana takes on Notre Dame. Tomorrow night, on Cal up in San Jose, 7:30 tip time. You can listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. And San Diego FC drafted today Manu Dua from UCSB with the number 1 overall pick in a 2025 Super Draft. Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Take up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Shop today for free and fast delivery. Restrictions do apply. All right, Cynthia Freeland's going to join us at the top of the hour. Still, we got a bunch of giveaways to give away. Holiday Bowl tickets, auto show tickets, right, Brent? I'm going to say I'm going to assume we do since it's in the rundown here.
Yep, that's it.
And yeah, that's it. So make sure to be listening. We're gonna give away Holiday Bowl tickets this hour on the show. The Holiday Bowl next Friday here at Snapdragon Stadium. Syracuse takes on Washington State, a very depleted Washington State. Lost their coach, lost a bunch of coordinators, lost a quarterback, lost like 15 to 20 other dudes. But nonetheless, it'll be a fun time because it's the KGB Sky Show after the game. All right, so San Diego State had to look for not only a new quarterback this offseason, but they needed a new defensive coordinator. Well, they didn't waste any time. Rob Orich, the new Aztec DC, joined us earlier in the week and talked about how excited he is to be the new DC and to have some guys returning for next year.
Man, I am jacked up. I am jacked up to be part of it and jacked up to kind of take over the reins of what I think is a powerhouse of a football operation, man. And got a lot of love in my heart for Coach Lou for giving me his trust and let me step into this role. And extremely excited to lead the people we got in this building. I think we got tremendous people in the staff and a tremendous roster returning to us. And so I can't wait to get going.
Are you guys going to be running the same defensive schemes that you ran last year for this upcoming season?
Well, from the outside, we're going to look like a 4-2-5,
okay.
Similar to what you saw last year. Now, we'll be similar in what we look like from a structural standpoint, but we will be different in the way we operate, teach, and go about executing the scheme.
Rob Orich is with us right now. So this is not your first time as a DC. You had tremendous success at Idaho, some of the best years in Idaho history before you got to San Diego State. What was that experience like at Idaho, and how has that prepared you for right now?
Well, it's a great question. I really think the years I spent at Idaho, flipping that roster and helping Coach Eck build the culture over there has really prepared me for this role. And, you know, I say that is we took over a defense there that was giving up 33, 34 points per game. And in year one, we were able to take 8 points off the scoreboard and finish as the number 1 overall defense in the Big Sky. And part of our philosophy, and that's not a guarantee we're going to do that year one, so no guarantees here. But one thing we were able to do was, you know, really simplify our approach for what we're going to execute on the field and get our guys to play extremely hard. And knowing our roster and the core we got coming back, I think our guys are craving the ability to be cut loose on the football field and play really fast. And we got the guys in the house to do that.
How nice is it knowing that Trey White and other starters from the defense are returning for you this upcoming season?
Man, I'm so excited that our core has put their faith in us and Coach Lou and his staff to come back. We got a tremendous core coming back, not just Trey White, but I'm exceptionally excited for him to keep getting after the passer the way he got after it in 2024. I think we're going to see him even take a step in 2025, the second year, being in that position. But all the way through our core, Chris Johnson at corner, Tano and Owen at linebacker, Dale Shawn and Eric Berry at safety. And then I'm really jacked up about our returning defensive front players. I think we got a great core up there. I think we got the ability to be really stout against the run. And the way we prepare and the way we build, you know, we're really doing it to build against Boise State. Those are the guys we have to be ready to compete and go win against if we want to win this conference title the way we should. We're going to prep for them all year.
Interesting you say that. Boise will be in San Diego at Snapdragon Stadium in 2025, of course, headed to the expanded college football playoff this year as well. Rob Orich, San Diego State's new defensive coordinator, with us right now on Jon and Jim. It's interesting because you mentioned some of the expected returnees, the Trey Whites, Chris Johnsons, Tana Latulis, and others. How excited were they for you when they found out about your new opportunity?
I think they were jacked up based on our conversations. We have a tremendously mature group, and they know what the product on the field should look like. They know the expectation of this program. And when those three kind of put their trust into me, I was really honored, and there was a lot of pride in my heart that three of the leaders on this team really wanted to put their faith in me. And I'm going to ride with those guys, man. They got a lot of love in my heart forever. And they are going to be the key for us getting this thing going the way it should. Their leadership, their positivity in the building, building on Coach Lou's culture. I think they are eager to go, and I think you can tell from me I'm ready to go as well.
It's always a great day when you have somebody that you're recruiting either through the portal or in high school commit to you guys at San Diego State today. Big one, Niles King officially signed with you guys today. What can you tell us about Niles King and what he's going to bring to this defense?
Niles is a dude. Niles is 6'5", 271, built like a power forward, can run, can lower his levels in pass rush. He's going to be a great addition to our defensive front, which I believe is a strength of ours heading into next season. I know one thing that was important to him was the opportunity to rush the passer and do it at the highest level. And when you pair him alongside the Trey Whites, the Brady Masters, the Ryan Hendersons that we got returning in our front, I think he's excited not to see double teams like he did the entire time in the GLIAC conference at Division II. So I expect big things from Niles, and I think he is a tremendous fit for our scheme. But he's a great kid, man. He's a great kid out of West Bloomfield High School in Michigan. Not a listener knows where that's at, but that's a Midwest kid coming out to the coast, man. He's ready for it.
Can you take us more behind the scenes there? Because you see a player like Niles King, and he was getting like national recruiting buzz. I saw Pete Thamel at ESPN when he went into the portal saying, hey, he's as good of a Division II player as there is that's in the portal. And then Thamel actually followed up today saying he's committed to San Diego State. What was it about the Mesa? Was it the system? Was it being paired opposite of Trey White and not drawing those doubles? Like what makes San Diego State, among all the available options for a player like Niles King, how do you even get involved in his recruitment process?
Well, Niles was a fun situation because he's from Michigan and I'm from Michigan. Okay. He's a D2 guy. I'm a D2 guy. And I think we had some common bonds of wanting to prove people wrong, wanting to prove people we could do it at a high level. And when Niles got out here, first time you ever seen a palm tree, that didn't hurt. But when Niles got out here, man, he's a kid that craves authentic communication. I think he has a pretty high BS meter. And when he was around us and the way Coach Lou interacted with him, the way he felt kind of being around our staff, he was committed before we had talked really an ounce of football. This was the environment he wanted to be in. And I'm thankful that he's going to put his faith in us, man. But it's our job to take a kid like that and make him better. And so he's going to have a heck of an off season for us once he gets into our player development program. I think he's scratching at the bit to get going because he's never really stepped into a facility that has the resources that a San Diego State has.
Another player that committed to you guys just about an hour ago, linebacker from Utah State, Tanner Williams. What can you tell us about what he can bring to this defense?
Yeah, Tanner Williams is an extremely steady player, and I think he's just starting. He's a freshman, played a little bit at Utah State this year, was at Mater Dei High School out of the Los Angeles area. He is wired to be a linebacker. You know those guys you just meet, and you're just like, that guy's a linebacker? That is Tanner Williams. And he is fast, much faster than what you would think looking at his frame, but he's about 6'1.5", 225 pounds, probably runs a high 4.5, and he's got a chance to be an every down type player for us in the 4-2-5 system. What I like about him the most, man, is all he cares about is ball. He's not into the glitz and glam that's a blue collar guy that wants to be around the football. And I anticipate that's what we'll see.
What other priorities? I mean, the portal's so crucial. Obviously, rosters are always evolving. As you look at the portal being open and as you put an eye towards 2025, what are some additional priorities in the days and weeks ahead?
Yeah, we're really fortunate is that we're not in a situation where we have to add a ton of pieces defensively. What we look at in the portal is not necessarily always a position-specific person. Obviously, you have to fill those needs, but a type of player. And that type of player, he can be undersized, but as long as he plays the game extremely fast with a ton of passion and he tackles at a high clip on tape, we feel like those guys are good fits for us. We want passionate football players who love to hit, who love to play the game. And the guys we've taken out of the portal so far, their love of football and their quest to be great players are two boxes we checked right away. And so whatever we look for in the portal, those are two mandates.
Rob, we're excited for you. Great opportunity, obviously. All the defensive history on the Mesa. It's been one of the premier defenses in America for the better part of the last 20 years. We're excited for you to continue that and carry on the mantle. Again, Rob Orich, he was here a year ago as edge coach for San Diego State, now elevated to defensive coordinator for Sean Lewis in 2025. We appreciate you taking time for us. Happy holidays, and we'll do it again in 2025.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, man. Can't wait. See you guys later.
All right, Rob Orich there, the new defensive coordinator for San Diego State. All right, right now, caller number 8, 877-767-4760. Caller number 8, you have won a pair of tickets to the KGB Sky Show Holiday Bowl next Friday at Snapdragon Stadium. Caller number 8 right now, 877-767-4760. Caller number 8, you won tickets to the Holiday Bowl next Friday right here at Snapdragon Stadium. Coming up next, more Jon and Jim.
Coming up at the top of the hour, Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network is going to join us. It's interesting that the whole thing that happened with Juan Soto in the Mets.
And then John Heyman, where it's essentially like, all right, John Heyman is Scott Boris's, mouthpiece in the media. And all the reports that are coming from John Heyman are coming from Scott Boris's camp. And then after the fact, you hear about how Juan Soto was mistreated by the Yankees and, the sweet debacle with them and how he felt like they didn't treat his family right. Juan Soto came out today in an interview when asked about how the report of the Yankees mistreating his family. He said this, "That's a lie." Juan Soto said that in an interview that no one from the Yankees mistreated his family. He says that they are a Class A organization and his experiences with the team were great. So then where did the report come from? It clearly came from Scott Boras. I don't think Juan Soto's sitting there telling Scott Boras to say these things, but because of how everything shaked out, you got to make look like the Yankees effed up here. So Scott Boras tells his little crony John Heyman, and then John Heyman goes out in the media and says this. And I don't think Juan Soto's sitting there saying any of these things. I think that's just his camp. So it's once again proving like John Heyman, bro, you are. I mean, did you see what happened when Juan Soto got introduced, Brent, at the Mets press conference and John Heyman was there?
I don't think I know what you're talking. I saw part of the presser, but I don't know what you're.
So as soon as Juan Soto was introduced, he was walking up to the podium. John Heyman standing right there. Juan Soto looks at John Heyman, gives him a little love tap. Like, what's up, bro? How you doing? Thanks for getting me all that money. Like, that's essentially how I view that. Like, hey, I know what you did for me. Because his reporting of how the numbers were at 600 and 650, that's all because Scott Boras is telling John Heyman to say this. John Heyman then reports that. And then the teams that are in on Juan Soto get freaked out. And then they up their offer. Like, it is classic negotiations 101.
It's basic agent stuff.
Basic agent stuff. And then it's also basic agent stuff that once he picks a new team, guess what? The other team gets dragged through the mud. This time, that is the Yankees. But it also is just like, shady to say the least, that like, oh, John Heyman is reporting that the Yankees, and this is all a John Heyman thing, that, Juan Soto felt slighted by the Yankees because they mistreated his family and the suites issue. It's like, you played yourself, John. You played yourself, because Juan Soto is saying that's a complete lie. A 100% lie. So that story is hopefully over with. And John Heyman can go back to being on his vacation now that his job is done getting Juan Soto the largest contract in the history of professional sports. Other news with baseball today, Jeff Passan, one, he is just destroying people on social media again. And two, the story of the A's this offseason is fascinating because you have an awful owner in John Fisher, like grade A-hole, who has never spent a dime on his actual team in Oakland. Now they leave, and he's just on a spending spree.
Are we alive back there?
The A's have never had
his checkbook's alive.
His checkbook's definitely alive right now. The A's have never had an opening day payroll above $92 million. Now in 2025, they're going to spend at least 105. That is just such a slap in the face, dude. I hate this guy more and more every day. It's like the Stan Kroenke, Dean Spanos thing. Stan Kroenke, when he owned the Rams in St. Louis, never seen at all. Never seen. Moving to LA, he's out there all the time. Can't get enough of Stan Kroenke. John Fisher's trying to do the same thing because, today they've agreed to terms with Gio Ursula, and they got Luis Severino. Their payroll is now over $100 million. Congratulations. Welcome to the big boys. Actually, don't welcome to the big boys. Welcome to a table. You're off in the corner, drowning in your own crap. And now you're actually spending money when you move. Like, that is such a shady thing to do. How you now are spending on your team. And it's not like you're going out and spending big bucks either. You're spending like on Gio Ursula and Luis Severino. Like, you're not going out and spending money to get Max Fried or Pete Alonso or Christian Walker, who signed a 3-year, $60 million deal today with the Houston Astros. You're going out and spending just enough money. So the other owners in baseball aren't looking at you like you're trying to, move your team to make even more money here. That you're actually going to invest a little bit on the on-field product. It's just a complete slap in the face. And I hope the A's fail miserably. I really do.
They're going to go to the World Series.
The odds of them getting a brand new publicly funded baseball stadium in Las Vegas is still up in the air. Like, this ain't a slam dunk. While they're in Sacramento, for however long they're going to be there for, who knows if this is going to even, materialize into anything in Las Vegas. So until then, I guess the A's are going to try to spend some money. I mean, why you would want to go there is beyond me. But hey, if someone's offering me $67 million to go live in Sacramento for 3 years, see you later, Brent. Peace out, John. Bye-bye. If someone's offering me $1 million to go live in Sacramento, peace out, bye.
Would you become a Kings fan again?
Oh, Brent, bro.
Bust out the white chocolate jersey out of the mothballs.
Hey, don't disrespect.
Hey, I'm not. He was awesome.
He was great. So the Oakland A's it's like the fake hustle in sports, like you see the guy run down the field or run up the court, set a couple screens, try to attempt to tackle, right? Like you can point out who the fake hustle guys are. The Oakland A's are like the fake hustle guys of the sport. They're spending a little money so you can get off their back about, spending, but it ain't of any consequence. They're still going to win 70 games tops next year.
They need somebody to put on programs and, to
Luis Severino. Come to the ballpark to watch Luis Severino and Gio Ursula.
Before they signed Severino, who would have been on the program?
Mason Miller, but that's about it.
Exactly. So now they have at least 2 cover athletes.
That is true. All right, coming up next, Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network is going to join us. Also, we'll get to the wrap. And we're giving away auto show tickets, so stay tuned right here on Jon and Jim. This update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. College football playoff gets underway tonight with Indiana taking on Notre Dame in South Bend, 5 p.m. kickoff time there. Tomorrow night, Aztecs take on Cal up in San Jose, 7:30 tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. And San Diego FC today drafted Manu Dua from UCSB with the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 Super Draft. Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during a Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Take up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Shop today for a free and fast delivery. Restrictions do apply.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
Baseball benefited off it greatly. And I don't really think they've recovered since. Dodgers-Yankees World Series this past year was a big moment for baseball, but you haven't gotten back to that where baseball has broke through on a national level for something that is praised instead of criticized. Like the only time any news outlets or anything are talking about baseball, either it's criticism or a scandal.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, hour 3 on Jon and Jim on a Friday, getting you ready for a college football playoff weekend, also an NFL weekend as well. So much sports happening tonight and tomorrow. It's great to be joined right now, as we do every week, by Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network, brought to you by Hamul Casino. And Cynthia, I wanted to start with last night's game. 1, how cool is it to see that free kick? And 2, how much is it of a difference is it that the Chargers actually have a competent head coach now?
I mean, first of all, with the free kick, it's hilarious because, Sean Payton himself is like a special team. He's the guy who's like in the competition committee talking about rules, the whole thing. So like for that to happen to his team is just like crazy. And then very cool rule. And, it's nice to see both teams actually have competent, not just head coaches, but quarterbacks. And it seems like the teams want to win and are really playing hard for their guys. Like, it's cool this late in the season. Both of these teams have had some, been on the struggle bus in recent years. And it was cool to see like such a hard fought, like that was chess we were watching, not just some end of the season game that could be a throwaway to anyone.
And with the NFC, or not the NFC, but the AFC West, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, obviously Patrick Mahomes, if the Raiders can get, Shador, and if he turns into anything for them, I mean, you're looking at an AFC West here that you could probably say in a couple years, like that has the best quarterbacks in maybe all the NFL.
I mean, I think you're going to have to pry Shador from the Giants.
That is true.
Fisted grist. But I do think that the opportunity to get the right quarterback there. Yeah, I mean, there's some pieces on there. I know the Raiders have not looked great this season, and there are a lot of they feel really far away, but they've got some foundational pieces there, and they made a couple of shrewd moves. I mean, we don't talk about Robert Spillane at all, but they have a better team than it might seem. And once you get a quarterback in there and address the interior offensive line just a little bit more and get a corner, like they're not as many pieces away as it might seem. And the NFL, things can change quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And the one thing right now in the NFC, when you look at the top of the conference, Detroit has been there most of the season, but the injuries are kind of piling up for them. And it's opening a little bit of a window here for Philadelphia to possibly get that 1 seed. How concerned are you of the injuries that are piling up with the Lions?
I mean, I think the Eagles take the 1 seed. I think, unfortunately, 16 members of the defense alone on IR is unmanageable.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 guys from their defensive front that were even, starting week 1. And that's a big problem. And then today on the injury report, you see Brian Branch is also on it. I mean, It's possible he plays. He's not going on IR, but it's the cupboard's pretty empty for the Lions. However, I do think that, and it's wild to think that the Eagles could be playing their last away game until a potential Super Bowl
right
this weekend.
Yeah, because
Bananas.
It's crazy. Like the Eagles, I feel like with them, Cynthia, is if you watch them every week and they have, a scuffle on the sidelines this past game with one of their coordinators and maybe a couple other people there, and then Nick Sirianni, and then you have the rift between Jalen and AJ Brown. Yet you look up and they're one of the best teams in the NFL. It's just it's a weird dynamic with them, right? Like you watch them every week. They're winning all these games. They have one of the best defenses in the league, but there's still some drama around them. It seems like every single week.
I feel like they kind of take on the energy of Eagles fans and Philadelphia people. And to be clear, many of my best friends are from Philadelphia. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying the chaotic energy, everything could be going well for them and they still are going to find something wrong.
Right. Yeah.
That's just the personality of Eagles fans and now the team.
Oh, trust me. I live with it. My wife's from South Jersey. She's a big Eagles fan.
There you go.
And every week they're winning and they miss a kick and she's like, stupid Eagles. I'm like, they're 12-2. They're one of the best teams in the NFC. I would die if the Niners were 12-2. She's like, no, they suck. They suck. I'm like, okay, great. So I 100% get that for sure. The Ravens and Steelers, sneaky good matchup this weekend. Not sneaky, actually, it's a really good matchup because it's a divisional opponent and both teams, are vying for playoff positioning. What do you see in this game versus the Ravens and the Steelers this weekend, Cynthia?
Well, a couple of things. The first one is I'm seeing an increasingly uncomfortable Russell Wilson. He came out of the gate strong. George Pickens was healthy then. Now we don't have George Pickens playing, potentially TJ Watt if he plays. I'm not sure if I believe he's 100% because, he hasn't been practicing. He was injured. So I think that this is the opportunity for the Ravens to take a big step forward. I also know that they know what's on the line. And if the Steelers win this one, they win the AFC North. I don't think the Ravens want that. I think the Ravens saw that Charger win last night and they're like, we want another edition of the Harbowl, please. Mm-hmm. So I think they know what's at stake. I think this is a big Ravens just trending in the health and kind of team direction going up. They've improved their secondary. I mean, if you're just looking at, their ability for Marlon Humphrey to defend passes in the beginning of the season versus now, him alone, it's just gotten night and day. So I think they know what's at stake, and I think this is a nice, solid. I actually think that they cover their number if you are not an NFL employee and can participate in those types of shenanigans.
Absolutely. Cynthia Freeland joining us here on Jon and Jim. Is when you look at Josh Allen, is it his MVP to lose right now? Is there anything that he could do where it would make it that he's not the MVP, or is he already locked this up in your opinion?
I mean, to be fair, a lot of times it's when are you peaking at the moment that voters are voting? And while I think it won't be a unanimous vote, I think he's locked it up because of what he's done over the past 2 weeks. And this is when the votes are being cast. I understand that they get the Patriots this week, and if he has another crazy day, people are gonna be like, yeah, but the Patriots are bad this year. So it was against two good teams in a row. It was the Rams played bananas and Josh Allen overcame it. I understand that they didn't win the game, but he was not the reason that they didn't win that game. And then they crushed the Lions, and even though the Lions were missing all the pieces of it, I think it'd be hard pressed not to think it's Josh Allen.
Yeah, it's just it's weird too, because you look at his numbers, they're really, really good. But at the same time, the Bills are not the number one seed in the AFC. You could argue that Lamar's having a better season than him, maybe even Joe Burrow. Do you feel like maybe it's a little bit of well, let's get Josh Allen as MVP? Or do you think he's legitimately having the best season of anybody in the league?
I mean, I'm a numbers person, so I would not say that he's having, I would say he is masking some of the problems on his defense. I think the reason that they're not the number one seed, despite having beaten the Chiefs, is because there are some, other than Christian Benford, and by the way, there's a lot of people on that injury report as of today on the defense. There's some pieces there that are missing. And I know they got Matt Milano back, but I don't know. It's a little bit more dicey than it might originally, look based on some of the scores. I saw that Rams game. You can go back and watch it. There's some areas you can target in this defense. So I think the thing about Josh Allen on this team is that, it feels like he's doing the narrative all season. They lost Stephon Diggs. What are they going to do? And he's putting up these crazy numbers, and it's without Stephon Diggs, and then they get Amari Cooper, but still he's been injured a bunch, and it just feels like Josh Allen's putting this team on his back, and he's having a wonderful season. I would argue, if I'm just going based on who's giving their team the potential to win, Joe Burrow, it's very hard to argue that what Joe Burrow's doing is anything but elite. And it's very hard to argue against Lamar Jackson, although, some people could make a strong argument that Derrick Henry's having a really, really, really solid season, which, makes it a little bit easier for Lamar. But I mean, you are arguing between 1A and 1B at this point.
Yeah. You look at Lamar's numbers and you're like, what? I mean, 3 interceptions all year.
Insane.
It's insane. And same with Joe Burrow. And it shows you you do need to actually have a full team around you, even if you're having an elite season, because, the Bengals right now, with a losing record, you would think that they would be one of the better teams in the NFL with the way that Joe Burrow has played this season, but they are not. They have a lot of problems with that team. Cynthia Freeland joined us here on Jon and Jim. In the NFC, going back to the NFC, we talked about Detroit, talked about Philadelphia. Give me a sneaky team other than, Minnesota's at 12-2. They're the 5 seed right now, but a couple things go their way. They could be the 2 seed or even the 1 seed here by the end of the year. But I'm talking about Tampa Bay, the Rams, the Packers. Do you feel like any of those teams that I just named there have a chance to make some noise in the postseason?
Well, actually, you can expand it even one level deeper. I'm just going to say the winner of the NFC West has a chance to make some noise, because the Seahawks, I understand they did not win last week. If Geno is in any way hurt, that just negates everything I'm saying. But, I think that there's some noise to be made, whoever wins between the Rams and the Seahawks, because the Seahawks, that linebacker level, they have significantly improved their defense. Their defensive front, there's 5 guys on that team who have lots and lots of pressures. There's a few teams, there's only a few teams who can say that, right? Usually it's kind of 1 guy or 2 guys that have a ton of pressures. This team is coming from everywhere. So we got 5 different guys who are making a ton of noise up front. When I'm looking at, that game last week against the Packers, there was a lot of things that went wrong. Okay, if they can right the ship, and if the Seahawks can beat Minnesota this week, we're going to be talking about them in a completely different light. And the Rams, I think, if you think about it and you think about form, and of course, again, injuries, let's pretend everyone stays at least as healthy as they are now or gets even healthier. That Week 18 game that's going to be between the Seahawks and the Rams, that could be for so much. And going into a game like that so sharp and focused, after having overcome so many injuries like the Rams have, that could make a big, I would not want to face them round 1 of the Super Wild Card weekend. No, thank you. But either team I could say that about.
We haven't talked about the Chiefs yet. Oh, they're 13-1. No big deal. Patrick Mahomes has magical healing powers. He sprains his ankle, but yeah, he's going to play this weekend. If he does play this weekend, which it looks like it is, do you think that's a smart move for him? Or is this one of those situations where maybe you want to take a week off here? There's still 2 games ahead of the Bills for the number 1 seed, or is it smart for him to go out there, try to lock up this 1 seed, and then have damn near a month off?
Well, I think that the strategy of when he plays, I think they're trying to do that. I don't think they want him playing the Steelers on Christmas. I think what they're saying is it's kind of they're figuring out, when their pitcher is going to, the rotation of the pitching for the World Series, right? They have I will say, whatever they're doing with his sports science, they need to patent that and sell it to everyone else, because it's incredible. And you do have to give it some, be like, hey, whatever they're choosing to do with this, they have so many examples. The Super Bowl, the game against the Jags in the playoffs a couple of years ago, they have so many examples of his ankle being just crushed and then him coming out and playing and being okay. So I will say that as much as I don't want to see him play on Saturday, like at all, period, full stop, because I know Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter, who are the duo with the only duo in the NFL to have more than 50 pressures each. I don't think they're licking their chops here, being like, hey, DJ Humphries isn't playing. Hey, they've been terrible up front. Like I wouldn't like that. But then again, I don't like the Steelers the next, outing as well. And then you put a lot of pressure on that Week 18 game against the Broncos. Like this is not a great schedule for trying to secure one more win. I think what they're saying here is this could be the game where we secure the win, and then we give ourselves flexibility for if he wants to play a couple of series and that's the only thing I can, as an outsider, speak to. But again, they know, and we have to. This is not a team that has been bad with injuries in the past. They have managed injuries well, so we at least have to respect that and then see how it works out. Because I just am like, why don't you just throw Carson Wentz out there? Like, we know that CJ Stroud and that offense has had a ton of problems. Their O-line has been terrible this year. The Texans, the interior O-line has been garbage. So I don't know. Can Carson Wentz win? I'm not sure, but it makes me anxious, the whole thing, because I want to see at some point, you just want to see the best players playing out there. Like, no one wants to feel like Lions fans right now, where it's like, we had so much going for us and so many injuries. No one wants to feel like that. And if you lose your quarterback, you just automatically feel like that.
Yeah, injuries are the worst thing in sports. That's the last thing you want to see. You want to see everybody at their best.
Yeah.
It's just the way of sports, but it just is what it is. Final one, Cynthia, like, speaking of the Chiefs, do you find it interesting that right now they have the fourth best odds to win the Super Bowl? Like, do you find that as wild as I do? That they're the fourth, that right now in Vegas, they are the fourth best odds to win the Super Bowl behind the Bills, the Lions, and the Eagles.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But I will say, I go a little level deeper into the numbers here, and I have noticed that when you read the 10Ks, so like the filings of these publicly traded gambling companies, like, have to file and tell the public who are buying their stocks. This year has not been a great year for them in the NFL season. People's rooting interests have aligned with wins quite a bit. So when you're looking at, like, they're trying to make some money right now. So I think that has a lot to do with it too.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Maybe I was me being a little snarky, but I do think that that's maybe enticing some people to be like, what the heck? I can get these odds. Let's do it.
Yeah, Chiefs plus 500. Like, what? It's just, yeah, it's of course, just another slight for the Chiefs to put on their bulletin board, and then they'll be in New Orleans this year for the Super Bowl. Cynthia, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we will talk to you next week. All right.
Absolutely. Happy holidays. Talk to you after Christmas. Enjoy.
All right. Love it. Cynthia Friedland there from the NFL Network, brought to you by Humboldt Casino, 7 restaurants, thrilling games, and a sports pub voted San Diego's best. Humboldt Casino is fun above all else. All right. Coming up next, we still have to get to the wrap. We also have auto show tickets to give away. All of that coming up next on Jon and Jim.
All right, Humboldt Casino is Jon and Jim for our friends over at Humboldt. It's a great month to get out there. It really is this holiday season. You can join them every Monday this month. You'll have chances to win big luxury handbags, top brands like Louis Vuitton, Versace, and more. They've got 10 winners every hour. 7, 8, 9 p.m. Onyx players receiving an extra $100 in cash bonuses, plus one lucky winner each hour will have the opportunity to pick a purse back with cash. We're talking about up to $25,000, and you'll get to keep the purse as well.
Yeah, and if you're lucky enough to win a Louis Vuitton, Burberry, or Versace purse, or win that and $25,000 in cash, you can head on over to Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, Loft 94, or their poker room to watch all the sporting action that they have for you. NFL, college basketball, college football, NBA, NHL, they have it all.
Also, New Year's Eve, just over 2 weeks away. Get to Hamul. They've got the holographic New Year's party. You can celebrate in style. We'll kick off festivities with $20 free play for all, beginning at noon. Make it an unforgettable New Year's celebration out of Hamul Casino.
Yeah, get ready for New Year's with Hamul. You can also win a lot of money with Hamul, some stylish handbags at Hamul, and watch all the sporting events you want. And they have great dining experiences, too, with amazing food selections. Only at Hamul Casino. It's fun above all else. Brent, did you see that a new ruling came out that JUCO players, junior college players in football, can play multiple years at JUCO and still retain 4-year eligibility at the college level? So that came out yesterday, and everyone's like, dude, we're getting like 30-year-olds playing in college football in the future now. One person on Twitter here outlined how you could play 11 years of college football. Here's how it would be. Year one, you're a JUCO, junior college, and you're redshirt that year. Year two, you play. Year three, medical redshirt, so like get hurt. Year four, you play. Then you go to an NCAA team. You go to like say transfer to San Diego State. All right, you're playing at San Diego Junior College or whatever. I don't know if they have a football
But you know my point. Then you redshirt year 1 at the FBS level. You play year 2. You play year 3. Then you're a medical redshirt. And then you play year 4. 10 years. You can play college football. And you come out a doctor. Yeah. You're like you're 28 years old. You have your master's degree. So you could potentially see some wild stuff here. Like I know that a player for Utah State this past year was like 26 years old. I think he went on a mission. I mean, you can see some old
You
college
used to
football
get that all
players
the
now.
time though, because like Chris Winkie was like 28 by the time he graduated, and he actually got drafted.
Like, so I mean, you could have a long playing career in college with now the new rules that you will retain 4 years of eligibility, even if you play a couple years at JUCO. So I thought that was kind of crazy how you could be an old man now playing at San Diego State. You'd be like 27 years old. Now, I don't think you're going to see many people that. It's just like a joke. I mean, this whole thing is a joke. But still, there is a way to manipulate this thing, and you have to have things go your way. And yes, you have to get injured, but you know, that to me would be kind of wild. And I'm sure you're going to start seeing a little bit of that now, like players going to junior college, getting some experience down there, then transferring to another college in the NCAA level. So be on the lookout for old men now playing in college. It's mostly going to be for the guys that aren't going to be NFL players because there is no way in hell you're going to want to be in college until you're 25 years old, because no NFL team wants to draft a 25-year-old player. They don't want to draft a 22-year-old player or a 21-year-old player.
No, not these days.
Not these days. But you can make with the NIL, you can make a decent living in college for sure. Like with the NIL, yeah, you can make some good money, depending on where you play, though. All right, coming up next, more on Jurickson Profar and what he wants in free agency. Also, LeBron James has spoken out about how the league is shooting too many threes. Also, auto show tickets to give away on the other side. All of that coming up next on Jon
Says
and
the
Jim.
guy that missed like 19 consecutive.
Exactly.
This update's brought to you by Mattress Firm. The college football playoffs get underway in a half hour from South Bend as Indiana takes on Notre Dame. Kickoff is at 5 p.m. Tomorrow night, the Aztecs take on Cal up in San Jose, 7:30 tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. And today, San Diego FC drafted Manu Dua from UCSB with the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 Super Draft. Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Take up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Shop today for free and fast delivery. Restrictions do apply.
So San Diego State takes on Cal tomorrow up in San Jose. And they've been playing really good basketball. And one of the biggest storylines with this team this year is, man, just imagine what they're going to look like when Reese Waters gets back. Well, that might be a problem. That might be a problem. Mark Ziegler yesterday in the UT reported that it's not great news on Reese Waters. That his stress fracture in his right foot, it's still healing, but it's not healed yet. Not enough to have him go out and start some drills. He's off the scooter, but he still has the. And Dutch yesterday said this. I was hoping he'd be cleared. I was hoping it would be fully healed, but it's not. I guess it's not a surprise. We know what that break is. It's pretty significant, and it takes a while. The encouraging thing is it is healing. I think there will be a point when he will be back to full health on that foot, and that's what we can hope for. But we'll see when that is. Not the greatest news that you could get from Reese Waters, because I think at the beginning of the year, everybody was thinking to themselves, all right, Reese is going to be out until the start of the new year. And in that time, you get guys like BJ Davis stepping in and, hopefully taking that opportunity and running with it. And so now it helps the younger guys and they get some significant playing time. And then you just add Reese Waters at the midway point. Like a transfer pickup in the middle of the season. A guy that can lead your team in scoring. And to get him back sometime in January to mesh with all of the other guys that have stepped up in his absence. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Now, the interesting part of this is, what is Reese going to do? If this thing doesn't heal up in time, and if he comes back, is he going to come back and be okay with coming back with like a couple weeks left in your season? Like, I'm sure he has aspirations to go to the NBA. Is he going to want to go to the NBA after a season where he was injured and only played a couple games? Does he have that much confidence in himself that he thinks that he can get drafted, go play in the NBA after having a stress fracture in your right foot all year and really not playing much at all? Or is he going to decide to, like, maybe medically redshirt this season? Like, I don't know. I don't know what Reese is going to want to do. Is it even worth it to come back? The good news is, in Reese's absence, this team has still been really good. They have 2 very key victories on their resume with Creighton and Houston. Creighton's not ranked right now, but they do have wins over number 1 ranked Kansas. I think Creighton's going to be a good team. Kalkbrenner is still a really good player. They're going to win a bunch of games. Houston's another team that you want to continue to see win a lot. And Houston's doing well right now. So you have 2 really good wins on your resume already. Getting to the start of the new year, you got Cal tomorrow night.
You got Boise on the 4th. That might be a wild time because you got, Boise basketball and then potentially Boise State if they move on. Like, that could be wild.
I think as far as Reese goes, it's going to depend on how the team's doing, I think. If it's one of those deals where it looks like, they might be struggling or something to where they need him and he has to come back, I think he'll come back. If it's a situation to where, let's throw it out there, they've, only lost 6 games or something at that point and, they're looking fine, then I could see him seriously considering taking the medical red shirt just for, like you said, to help his prospects for next year. But then it gets complicated though with the portal and everything else. It's not like it used to be to where it's just like, oh, okay, you got hurt, you can just take the medical red shirt and we'll see you next year. Now it's okay, you can take the medical red shirt and hopefully we'll see you next year.
Because he could enter the portal for sure.
Yeah.
Not wanting to look too far ahead, but I will. Like, if that were to happen, and you do retain, like Farrell Compton and Miles Bird decides to return and not enter the transfer portal. BJ Davis decides to return. Nick Boyd can return next year as well. Magoon Guath, like, man, could they be really good next season too? They're already good, but next year, oh my goodness. I did not expect them to play like this early on this year. I thought it was going to be a progression. You have a bunch of new guys and a bunch of new faces and new roles, and you have a really tough schedule, top 10 schedule in the country. And we all know Dutch's teams, eventually, as the year goes on, they get better and better. So by the time you hit the Mountain West Conference tournament, they're hopefully peaking. But right now you're like, I like a lot of things they do. Miles Bird as a scoring threat and on the defensive end. Nick Boyd, just the truest of leaders that you could possibly meet. Like, yes, if I were to pick a guy to be the leader of my team and play the point guard position, like Nick Boyd is that guy. You have some really good young talent. Magoon Guath, Farrell Compton, Taj DeGorville. BJ Davis is a young guy, and he's putting up really good numbers this year. The confidence level that he has it's great to see. But eventually they're going to hit some speed bumps here. This is not going to be like every game they're going to beat teams by 10 plus points. Cal Baptist, like, that wasn't an easy game. So going into the Mountain West Conference schedule here after their game against Cal tomorrow night.
Well, they've already played one game.
They have, but like the thick of it, like where you aren't playing any non-conference games the rest of the year. And now potentially without Reese Waters for what? Damn near 90% of that schedule. Like, this is it. This is probably the team you're going to go forward with this year. And think about this too. Say they are playing really well, right? Yes, obviously they're going to want Reese back, and if Reese is ready to play, then he'll play. But where do you put him? He struggled last year coming off the bench. He's a guy that I feel like needs to be a starter because that gets him in rhythm right away. Like, when he was starting last year, he's putting up 20 points. I mean, that game against Gonzaga was amazing. The game against Washington. And then when you put him on the bench, it's like kind of becomes invisible a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that though, because he was the 6th man of the year when he transferred from USC coming off the bench.
True.
So we know he can play off coming from the bench.
I'm just going off of what happened last season. I'm just going off what happened last season. And also, yeah, to a point of like, when he was on the court, Jaden Ledee was the number 1 scoring option every single time. So maybe without Jaden there, it opens things up for him a little bit because you don't have that guy down low that, demands the ball that the offense needs to run through. Like, you need to give Jaden Ledee a touch every single time down the court. You don't need to do that now. So maybe that does help him. Maybe you are right. But still, the prospects of not Jaden Ledee, but Reese Waters helping you out here, it's getting slimmer and slimmer by the day. You know, still being in a boot on December 20th and nowhere close to practicing. And you don't know if the bone is fully healed yet. You know, hopefully there'll be some progress here in the next couple of weeks, but I wouldn't count on it. You know, the expectation was that he was going to be cleared. Well, he's not. And so because of that, you're going to have to take this thing slow. You can't rush him back. Well, it's not fair to him. It's not fair to this team.
Well, that's one of those things where, you know, when it comes to bone break, sometimes you're almost better off for it just to be like a full break opposed to being like a stress fracture because those take longer to heal and they're more tricky. So
Dutch said, I don't really know, talking about his availability. I just want Reese to be healthy. I would never bring him back unless he was healthy. That's the point. When is he going to be healthy? Time will take care of that. He might not be ready for another 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. They don't have a decision to make, but it's going to be his decision, not mine. Talking about is it worth burning a year of eligibility to play a month or 5 weeks or 6 weeks of basketball? And that would be like what, 10 games maybe? Like, is that worth it? Maybe. So we'll see. Reese Waters, not a great update on Reese Waters. The timetable on him is going to be pushed back a little bit longer. All right, right now, caller number 7, 877-767-4760. Caller number 7, 877-767-4760. You have won tickets to the San Diego Auto Show next year. All you got to do is be caller number 7 right now to 877-767-4760. Caller number 7 has won Auto Show tickets. The Wrap coming up next.
All right, next hour we're going to hear from Dave Velasquez. Talk about the Aztecs matchup tomorrow night against Cal. 7:30 tip-off time. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. College football playoffs moments away. It looks very cold in South Bend, Brent.
Dude, it's December.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just saying. Like, I can't say it doesn't look cold somewhere.
Well, no, it's always cold in South Bend in December. That's like our thing with stupid Doug Gottlieb this week when he was bitching about it being cold in Green Bay. Yeah, no S, Doug. It gets cold in Green Bay in December.
Doug has responded to his loss against Michigan Tech.
Oh, D2 Michigan Tech?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the final hour of the show. Also, you're going to hear from Dave Velasquez as well. But right now, let's get to it, Brent.
It's time for the wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
What team are you taking to have an upset win this weekend in the college football playoff?
Right now, I like Indiana. So I think tonight you're going to get an upset. Could be completely wrong, but I'll take Indiana tonight over Notre Dame. I think Clemson's going to lose to Texas. I think SMU is going to lose to Penn State. And I think Ohio State's going to beat Tennessee.
I think it's either going to be Tennessee or, sorry, John, Penn State.
You think Penn State's going to lose to SMU?
I've watched a few Penn State games this year, and they haven't looked great. And even John admitted that they don't really deserve to be in the playoff. He'll take it, but they're not playing the best, and that's kind of been their MO all year. Is they'll struggle for a while against teams that they shouldn't struggle against, and then they'll pull away in the end. So, but I think Tennessee's going to upset Ohio State. I don't think Ryan Day's done crying over.
I think
losing to Michigan.
I think that's going to be a very tough game for Ohio State, but nobody has an easier path than Penn State to get to the Final Four of the college football playoff. You're facing SMU. Then if you win this game, you go to face Boise in the Fiesta Bowl. Like, if you're James Franklin, I mean, you got some pressure on yourself here, buddy. Like, losing to SMU or losing to Boise State, that's not going to sit well in Happy Valley. All right, next question.
Is Justin Herbert a top 10 quarterback?
He is a top 10 quarterback as far as like talent goes. He one of his touchdowns last night to some random no-name guy. He's rolling to his left, turns back, throws across his body, and it was an absolute dart. I think talent-wise, he is you could say top 5 talents in the league. Top 10 quarterback, though. I mean, let's just look at the top. Let's just look at the quarterbacks right now, right? So
I think he would be.
Right now, you got Burrow, Lamar, Allen, Mahomes. Yeah, he's top 10.
Yeah,
he's top 10. He's top 10. So, to me, I think I would get. Here's my top 10. In no particular order. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, I got to put Hurts in there just because he doesn't turn the ball over. Jordan Love.
You're going to put Hurts in there just because he doesn't turn the ball over? Jimmy G didn't turn the ball over either, but he didn't make him a top 10 quarterback.
It's my list, Brent. And right now, I mean, you got to put Sam Darnold in there. He's playing like a top 10 quarterback. That's my top 10 right now. Outside of that, Purdy, Kyler, Daniels. I didn't say CJ Stroud or Bo Nix.
As you shouldn't have.
But yeah, Herbert's a top 10 guy. His talent level, though, is like top 5 in the league. And when that team gets weapons, oh boy, they might be actually good. And they're actually kind of good right now. So, yeah, top 10 quarterback. All right, next question, Brent.
When will Roki meet with the Padres?
Hopefully, like tomorrow morning. We'll get more into that at the top of the hour, but I would suspect he meets with the Padres. I'm going to say before Christmas. I'm going to say he meets with them this weekend. I'm going to go this weekend. I don't know when this weekend, but I'm going to go this weekend that he'll meet with the Padres. Final question, Brent.
How much will Jurickson Profar sign for?
I think he's going to get what he's looking for. I think he's going to get around $45 million. So over under $45 million, I'll say like I'll give it a push. I think some team's going to give him right at $45 million, 15 a year. I think some team's going to offer him 3 years, $45 million. I don't think it's going to be the Padres. Hope I'm proven wrong. And if it is, then we'll talk about that and discuss the other moves that they'll need to make. But I think he's going to get what he's looking for. I think 3 years, $45 million for the production he had last year, for the market. That kind of sounds about right. And Michael Conforto just got $17 million for 1 year from the Dodgers. Harrison Bader just got a 3-year, $44-ish million, I think $43.5 million. So, Jurickson Profar coming off an all-star season. Dude deserves it. Get your money, bro. So, yeah, 3 years, $45 million. But I don't think it's from the Padres. I really don't. But, again, could easily be proven wrong. All right, coming up next, the latest with Roki Sasaki. And where is he meeting all of these teams at? We'll talk about that coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. Moments away from kickoff in South Bend as Indiana takes on Notre Dame in the first round of the college football playoff. Winner moves on to take on Georgia in the quarterfinals. Moving over to San Diego State basketball, they'll take on Cal tomorrow night up in San Jose. 7:30 tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. In San Diego FC today, they drafted Manu Dua from UCSB with the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 Super Draft. Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during Mattress Firm semi-annual sale and clearance. Take up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Shop today for free and fast delivery. Restrictions do apply.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
Baseball benefited off it greatly. And I don't really think they've recovered since. Dodgers-Yankees World Series this past year was a big moment for baseball, but you haven't gotten back to that where baseball has broke through on a national level for something that is praised instead of criticized. Like the only time any news outlets or anything are talking about baseball, either it's criticism or a scandal.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, final hour, Jon and Jim of the week here. College football playoffs are moments away from kickoff. I just got excited, Brent.
30 minutes.
30 minutes away from kickoff. I just got excited, Brent.
Yeah, they tricked us. They did that thing again where they're like, starts at 5 o'clock. And it's like, no, that's when our second pregame show starts, is 5 o'clock.
Oh, I've been saying 5 o'clock all day.
Yeah, well, because they tricked us.
It says right here, 5 o'clock. ESPN, 5 o'clock. Am I wrong? Are they not going to do this? Are they really going to wait another half hour?
According to the TV listings, yes.
Interesting. 5:10, it says right there. 5:10. They always have to have a couple minutes here to set everything up. But anyway, yeah, Indiana, Notre Dame, first round. Winner takes on Georgia. I love it. This is like what everybody's been wanting, is a college football playoff, and you're getting it. It's not like perfect by any stretch. Definitely needs to be fixed. I mean, I think what you got to do is you got to have, some reseeding here after the first round. Like, to have Penn State be a 6 seed and then go face Boise, and then Oregon has to face Ohio State or Tennessee in their first round matchup, and they're the 1 seed in the whole thing. They're the only undefeated team in college football. And they potentially have to go through not only Ohio State, but Texas. Their path is brutal if it turns out to be like chalk through the quarterfinals.
Kind of. If it goes through chalk, though, still by where they're ranked, though, they would still.
Or if they face Ohio State, who they barely beat at home this year.
But Ohio State is only the 8th seed in the tournament. So
I know, but still, I mean.
So they would still be facing the lower seed. That's my point. Oregon would be.
I just think that Oregon should be facing the lowest seed remaining. Like it can't be a bracket style. It's got to reseed it. That's how I view it. You have to have some type of advantage.
Yeah,
but
you're
that's the number 1 seed.
But if everything plays out and there's no upsets, they will play the lowest seeded team. Because Ohio State at 8 would be the lowest seeded team if there's no upsets and everything plays out. Because Texas is 5, so they would be ahead of Ohio State. Penn State's 6, Notre Dame's 7. So if everything plays out like it's supposed to, then they would be playing the lowest seed, which would be Ohio State. Granted, we can argue that Ohio State and Boise State and Arizona State are equals, but we didn't see the tournament. So,
yeah, no, I agree with that. And to have Boise State get a bye along with Arizona State, like that's where the problem comes in. Like
I almost guarantee next year
it will be different.
They might not tweak the Arizona thing because of Big 12, but I'm sure they will switch it to where the non-power doesn't get an automatic bye.
Yeah, like if you win your conference, you're in, but by no means does that mean automatic buy right away.
Yes.
Yeah. So moments away from kickoff there in South Bend. So every day
there's kind of a low key, I don't want to say rivalry because they never play each other, but
close.
Well, they're both in Indiana.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, it's not like it's,
it always reminds me of like when Cincinnati would play, Xavier, or Xavier would play Ohio State, because Ohio State would always duck Xavier in basketball.
Yeah. So the weather looks good there, and they're ready to go. Moments away from kickoff there in South Bend. Every single day this week, we've gotten Roki news, and none of it involves the Padres. He's been meeting with teams this week. He just started. He's met with the Mets. He's met with the Yankees. He's meeting with the Cubs today. I know the White Sox were on that list. And every single one of these meetings is in LA. Okay, a little weird. Okay, if that's where his agent's at, all right. But if I'm Roki, dude, I want to go and tour the city that I'm potentially going to go to. Like, I bet you he hasn't been to Chicago before. Probably not been to San Diego before. Maybe. I don't know. LA, all right. Is he even in LA? Or is he doing all these meetings via Zoom while he's in Japan? It's gonna be weird if he picks the Dodgers here, because everything is like, oh yeah, we're meeting teams in LA. There's rumors of handshake deals with the Dodgers. They're the betting favorites for Roki. Every exec thinks he's going to LA and going to the Dodgers.
I don't know. The more I think about it, if I were him, I'd probably make all the teams come to me too.
In LA,
wherever. Wherever I want to go. You guys are courting me. It's like, why do I have to go to you? You guys, I'm the big prospect. It's like you brought up the comparison to like recruiting a college player. You guys are recruiting me. I'm not recruiting you. So maybe I don't want to go on a, we joked yesterday about it was like the Aerosmith World Tour t-shirt on the back, to where it's like, maybe he doesn't want to go on, a 7-city tour in 2 weeks and just fly all those miles, to where it's just like, can they just come to me? They want me, right? So they can just come to me. Yeah. I don't want to go anywhere.
I get that for sure. But I think if I'm making this big decision here, I at least want to like tour the place first. I want to see the area that I'm going to live in first. I don't want to do this, blindly. And look, maybe he'll end up having like a cut down, and he's going to have a couple teams where then he goes to visit and he tours the ballpark, he tours the city, has dinner at some nice restaurant, but if he doesn't, that's going to be a little weird. No?
Well, it's one of those things too, though, where we kind of talked earlier about how you're like, well, LA kind of sucks. I was like, yeah, but not if you're rich. This is one of those things where if you got money, it doesn't matter what city he picks. He's going to be living in the nice part of town anyway. So it's not like if he, he's not going to, I'm just throwing it out there. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to sign with Cleveland. And then he gets to Cleveland and it's just like,
this place sucks.
Oh my God. It's just like, no, even Cleveland, if you got money, there's, rich parts in every city that he could go and live in.
If he is in LA right now, like, that'd be such a slap in the face if all of a sudden he's like, oh, he's hanging out with Yamamoto. Like, oh, he's hanging out with
maybe he's
Ohtani.
Maybe he's hanging out with Bronny.
No, Bronny has other important things to accomplish, Brent, which is
he's going to be front row at Bronny's G League
tearing
game
up the G League.
El Segundo.
Dude is tearing up the G League, bro.
Did he have another good game?
I think he's averaging like 20 points in his last like 4 games.
Well, yeah, because he had 30 in the one game.
That's true. It helps out your numbers a little bit there. We're underway in South Bend. Ooh, new graphics. I always like a new graphic here. They're wearing the college football playoff patch as well.
Isn't it kind of feel like we're in a bizarro world where like we're sitting right here now and Indiana football is good.
Yeah.
Indiana basketball,
Bad.
not so much. They're not bad, but they're not
as good as the football team right now.
Well, they're not as good as what they used to be either.
Also, we're watching a actual playoff where Indiana and Notre Dame have a chance to win a national championship. Like, that was the whole point of this college football playoff, to expand. And now you have Indiana and Notre Dame, thinking to themselves like, we could win a national championship, which I love. I think that, the way that the seeding went, okay, if you want to rip that apart, go ahead, go for it. But if I'm a fan of Notre Dame, and if I'm a fan of Indiana, like, I am all freaking in right now. Give me a playoff, bro. Let's do this. So they're underway in South Bend. Ooh, that's a penalty.
I said I don't think there's going to be too many upsets, but in a way, I think it would be. College football is hoping that SMU gets crushed tomorrow. They're going to hope that Boise gets crushed next week.
Yeah.
Because I've brought this up before, but no other sport hates the little guy more than college football.
They despise
college basketball. Loves it. They embrace it.
Yep.
It's Cinderella. We love it.
Oh, yeah.
It's great stories. We'll get people to tune in for games involving teams that they've never even heard of or knew existed before now. Football is just like, no.
Nope. We're at the top of the top.
You're not one of our guys in our club. We don't want you here. We don't care what your record is or who you played or anything. No.
I just saw this on my timeline, Brent. So if you are traveling next couple days like me, I'm screwed. Oh, poor Uncle Teddy. Poor Teddy. He tweets out, if you're traveling out of San Diego Airport, as the Aztecs are today, my condolences. Their 4:40 flight became an 8:17 flight now, canceled with many others. Airport scene right out of a Stephen King novel. Be afraid. Be very afraid. So their flight is now canceled. Their 4:40 became an 8:17. Now it's canceled. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm screwed, dude. I'm flying tomorrow afternoon. There's no.
You guys are pretty much going the same area, right? Are you going to your
no
folks or her folks?
I'm going to North Carolina. I'm going
Oh,
east.
okay. Well, you didn't specify if you're going to your family or her family.
No.
So I didn't know if you're going.
Yeah, no, I'm going to her family.
I was gonna say you and Teddy could carpool.
Well,
you wouldn't want to sit in the car for 9 hours with Ted.
I mean, it wouldn't be.
You'd hear some good stories.
It wouldn't be a quiet car ride. It would be actually a very entertaining car ride, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Ted would, man, the stories that he could tell for 9 hours.
Well, Ted tells good stories on air, but his off-air stories that he can't tell on air are better. So you'd probably get a whole crap ton of those.
Like, and we've had this conversation before in the past, but like, imagine a 9-hour car ride
with him and Steve.
Yeah, with him and Costa, or not Costa, him and Steve. Oh my God, him and Hartman. That would be a legendary car ride.
It'd just be like back in the day with like, okay, it's time to flip over the record. It's like, okay, play Steve's side. Okay, flip it over. Now play Ted's side.
Dude, it would be amazing. Oh, look at my Indiana Hoosiers. Okay. Getting a turnover. I'm on board. I am rooting hard for Indiana this game.
I think everyone is.
I need an upset in the first game of the college football playoff. Give it to me.
Notre Dame is just like, everyone hates Notre Dame pretty much, unless you went to Notre Dame.
Like, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you're a Yankees fan, and then you're a Cowboys fan. Like, it is just.
It's like Notre Dame is a lot like, Nebraska's in the same way, only Notre Dame's not as bad as Nebraska, to where, they used to be super relevant in like, the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then they just got less relevant, but not in their eyes.
Oh, no.
In their eyes, they're, they're still the best team
best
around.
team
It's
ever.
just like, no,
National champions.
It's like the most relevant thing you guys have done in the last 20 years was your linebacker dated an imaginary girlfriend. And it's like, that's what you were known for now.
And you made a national championship game and got blown out by Alabama.
Yeah, you've gone from the galloping ghost to, what was that show, Catfish?
Pretty much. All right, coming up next, more Jon and Jim. Stay with us. This Indiana Notre Dame game is already drunk. Already 2 turnovers, 1 for each team within the first.
Well, it is really cold.
5 minutes of the game.
Curtis Rourke throws an interception at the goal line. Good job, buddy.
Still scoreless there in South Bend between Notre Dame and Indiana. Doug Gottlieb has responded. I had a weird dream last night about Doug Gottlieb, Brent. Don't ask me why. Maybe because we talked about him this week.
Is it a dream where he's throwing little pickles at you?
No, it was a dream that
That's a real genius reference.
that I actually saw him at like a basketball tournament, and he heard what I said about him, and he had like a problem with me, and then we talked for like 2 hours, and then we were like buddy, and everything was okay. I literally woke up and thought that like Doug Gottlieb like hated me for some reason. Now, do I care? No, I don't. But man, was it awkward to dream about Doug Gottlieb last night. And speaking of Doug Gottlieb, he's not in my dreams. He's actually like a real person. And he responded to the comments he made about Nobody U and his team, Green Bay, losing
to Nobody U,
Michigan Tech.
Nobody U from Division II.
I like that. Gottlieb said this: I don't understand kicking us while we're down in year one, using a quote out of context, and then reputable news organizations picking it up and running with it. Talking about ESPN. What's out of context? You literally said that you're going to play Nobody U. Does it really help? Like, does it help us play Nobody U? It's always funny when you say something and then all of a sudden it's like, no, that's out of context. You're like, no, the entire quote is online, dude.
Yeah, it would have been out of context if they would have took his like 45-second quote and just cut it down to like 5 seconds of him just going, yeah, we're playing Nobody U, and then just end it. Then it would be taken out of context, not when they played the entire, like we played the entire 45-second clip.
Right.
You were rambling. It's not our fault that you didn't remember what you rambled about. Like I said, that was like 2 seconds before he was shocked that it was cold in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
The one thing about him, and I know this was going to happen. Notre Dame on the board, by the way. They just went 99 yards for the first touchdown of the game. We're up 7-0 over Indiana.
It's nice to know you, Hoosiers.
John keeps texting me about this game, by the way. He's like, dude, this game, it's freaking unreal. Oh my God, cancel the rest of the show. This game is absurd.
Why doesn't he just call in?
Yeah, why don't you just call in, buddy? Even though that was a 99-yard touchdown run by Notre Dame. Back to Gottlieb. Like, Brent, if there was anybody else that became a head coach at a Division I basketball program while also doing a radio show, Gottlieb would criticize that. Especially if in year one, that team sucked.
Dude, even if they weren't also hosting a radio show, if they just went and made the Nobody U comment and then went out the following like hours later and lost to a Division II school, he would do a whole hour on his show ripping them about what a jackass it is here coaching at Notre Dame that was making fun of D2 schools, and then he goes out 5 hours later and loses to a D2 school.
Yeah, it's just like I know that's what would happen. Yeah, it's happening to you, and it's like, oh no, what was me? Like, maybe don't call another team Nobody U and then go lose to them, bro. John will not stop texting me about this game. So right now, a recap. All right. We are less than 5 minutes into the first ever college football playoff game between Indiana and Notre Dame. There's still over 10 minutes left to play in the first quarter. Notre Dame's up 7-0. But in the game, we've had 2 interceptions so far, one by each team, and the longest run in the history of Notre Dame football for a touchdown, a 98-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. Is it the greatest start ever to a college football playoff game? Yes, because it's the first ever college football playoff game of this format. But still, bro, calm down. It's the first quarter. Still the first quarter, dude. All right, coming up next, Dave Velasquez is going to talk about their upcoming game against Cal. He joined us earlier in the week. You're going to hear that conversation coming up next right here on Jon and Jim.
All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer, and stop letting high interest debt weigh you down. You can pay it all off in days thanks to Loan Pronto's new Rapid Equity Loan. Listen up, homeowners. Imagine a completely hassle-free way to cash out your home equity with no appraisals or paperwork awaiting. Loan Pronto's all-new Rapid Equity Loan uses AI-driven technology to get you approved for cash out in as little as a day. One client got $100,000 approved in under 24 hours, wiped out their debt, launched a home improvement project, is now saving over $1,000 a month. Instant approvals, low fixed rates, fast transfers. Get cash to consolidate all your debt and get a fresh start for the new year. Call Loan Pronto now. See how much you qualify for. Imagine this. Next week, you could be credit card debt free. Don't wait. Get your cash fast. Call 619-207-4336 or go to loanpronto.com. 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
This update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. College football playoffs. First round underway in South Bend, Indiana, taking on Notre Dame. Notre Dame leads Indiana in the first quarter 7-0 on a Jeremiah Love 98-yard touchdown run, the longest run in Notre Dame football history. Winner of this game moves on to take on Georgia. San Diego State basketball tomorrow night up in San Jose as they take on Cal, 7:30 tip time. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. And today, San Diego FC drafted Manu Dua from UCSB with the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 Super Draft. Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Take up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Shop today for free and fast delivery. Restrictions do apply. All right, San Jose State takes on Cal tomorrow in San Jose. 7:30 tip time. Of course, you can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Dave Velasquez, San Diego State assistant head coach, he joined us earlier this week. And we talked about their upcoming game against Cal tomorrow night. And, of course, the layoff that the Aztecs have and just the improvements that they've made so far this year.
Absolutely. It's always welcome, and appreciate all your guys' support. And yeah, we had some time off, and obviously there's some things we got to get a lot better at. And unfortunately, we've been able to learn through winning for the most part. You know, obviously we had the early Gonzaga loss, and we dropped one out against Oregon out in Vegas. But for the most part, we put ourselves up in a good position right now in this non-conference, and we have a really hard game coming up on Saturday versus a super talented Cal team that's old and has depth and is going to be a tough challenge for us. And we've had a week to get better at some things we feel like we have to improve at, which is obviously rebounding. And I know you'll probably get to that here soon, but we've spent a lot of time and getting more cleaned up with our rebounding efforts on both ends of the floor. It's not just defensive rebounding. We could be much better offensive rebounding team, and I think we will move forward.
Well, there you go. You asked the next question there, Dave. Rebounding being an issue for you so far. What has been the biggest problem that you have seen and the coaching staffs have seen that you need to fix here with the rebounding issues?
Just consistency. I mean, the first half at Cal Baptist, we were great rebounding the ball. Second half, we just weren't. We weren't able to finish plays, and you know, a lot of times you got to have a nose for the ball. It's not a form and technique thing. A lot of times with defensive rebounding, especially, you know, sometimes you could, you know, we joke a lot as coaches that sometimes guys they're boxing out too much and they're not going and pursuing the ball. So there's a fine line when it comes to rebounding. As a coach, there's always, you know, drills and things you can improve. But to me, it's more of a mentality. It's more of a consistent effort. It's a focus, a concentration to rebound the ball better. That's just my personal opinion. I think it comes down to, it's all about mentality with rebounding. And I feel like that's on both sides. You know, we've played some big time offensive rebounding teams this year. And I felt like we did a good job. But we need to be that offensive rebounding team that every time a team turns on the film and they're going to play San Diego State, all their coaches are saying is we have to keep them off the glass. We have to keep them off the glass. And I feel like for us, it's more consistency than form and technique at the present time.
And you know that you're going to take on two of the elite rebounding teams in America, Cal and Utah State, over the next week as well. But then again, that's what you faced in Houston, and you really held your own against Houston on a neutral floor. Dave Velasquez with us right now, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. I don't need to tell you this, but your freshmen have been ridiculously impressive. I always go back to this point. Jaden Ledee, I don't think hit a college three until his All-American year, which was last year. And here's Magoon Guath as this redshirt freshman hitting threes. He had the most ridiculous stat line against Fresno State, 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 blocks. So what has it been like so far coaching these freshmen, not just Magoon, but Farrow and Taj DeGorville, and watching them develop over the first half of their freshman year?
It's been awesome. It's everything that you'd want in freshmen. They're coachable. They're everyday guys. They're learning. You know, I feel like that's something that as a fan, sometimes you don't want to hear. You know, you want them to be great all the time, but they're young and they're learning. They're still forming habits of game day and how they hydrate. How do they feed themselves? You know, how do they sleep the night before? You know, there's everything. What's their game day routine? And so for us, it's been fun. You know, it's everything you want. When you come into coaching, it's to have super talented players that believe in you, that trust in you, that trust their teammates. All they care about is winning, and they've all had different roles. You know, in certain games, some have had bigger roles in their last game, but they're always ready to play. They prepare like they're veterans on this team, and so it's been fun. And our guys, our team loves them. You know, I think that's one other thing. You could tell in their energy and just who they are as people. I mean, people gravitate to them. People want to help them. And so it's been a fun season so far, and there's been growing pains, and there's going to be. You know, I don't think people realize this is the youngest team we've ever coached at San Diego State for Coach Dutcher, by far. Like, not even close. Yeah. I think we're somewhere in the 200s, and I don't know if we've ever been in the triple digits in a team with this amount of least D1 experience. So for us, it's been a fun year. And again, you expect the growing pains as a coach, and that's part of the job, and that's part of how rewarding some of these big wins early have been.
One of the guys on your team that has had a really good start to his season is like a vet, but he's been for 3 years, but he's also very young as well. Miles Bird, he's leading the team in scoring. If he didn't have the game against Gonzaga where he didn't score any points off the week that he didn't practice, I mean, he could be averaging more points per game, but like the growth that he has shown from last year to this year, talk about what he has done for you guys, especially early on.
I mean, number one, it's truly, I don't want to overuse this word today, but for us, we've been able to rely on Miles on both ends of the floor in terms of offensively and defensively, in terms of guarding maybe the best player on the other team, but then offensively having to come down and kind of play through him offensively to make the right play, to get a bucket when we need it, but at the same time throw a lob. You know, the drop-off pass he had to Farrell Compton in the Cal Baptist game was absolutely ridiculous. Behind the back bounce pass. But Miles is that talented, and his ability to be more consistent every single game has been great outside of one game, like you mentioned. But out of 9 games to say, okay, he had one, kind of a bad game. Obviously, he was in a huge game, but for us, that's pretty good. I mean, that's growth in a guy that we wasn't relied on to be an every game guy last year, where you're going to play 28 plus minutes. You're going to be asked to not just score the most points on the team, but also guard one of the the other team's best players. And then, at the end of the day, we're going to need you to get an offensive rebound against Houston, go to the free throw line, make both, send us to overtime, and then make plays in overtime. I mean, he's been outstanding, and he's just getting better and better every single day of practice. I thought he's had, out of all of our guys this week, I thought he's had one of our better weeks in terms of improving on the things we needed to improve on to make our team better.
Dave Velasquez with us right now. San Diego State, Cal, Saturday from San Jose at 7:30. Pregame coverage begins at 6:30. Speaking of Cal, you touched them briefly, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It appears to be an elite offense with Stojakovic and Blackshear, and we've seen Ritis Petritis, who was at Air Force. I mean, can shoot the 3-ball. This team can flat out shoot the 3-ball. What are the concerns heading into a game against Cal? I remember last year, different teams, a great game that was decided in overtime here in Southern California. What are you on the lookout for this weekend?
Well, you nailed it. They are an elite offensive team. I mean, they have 4 guys that would average over double digits. They'd have possibly 6, honestly. They're missing a guy that started the year averaging double digits, and then who might be back for our game, who's a transfer from North Dakota, I believe. And then they have a true freshman, Wilkinson, a guard who can really score the ball, and he's tough to keep out of the paint. And our focus this game is going to be to be, like I said, more consistent in terms of the game plan and sticking with it for 40 minutes and finding ways to shut them down offensively, and then for us to run really good offense and make them have to defend multiple sides of the floor, which we've done for the most part. Honestly, I feel like our offense is, besides we had a little stretch against Oregon that wasn't very fun to watch, but for the most part, our offense has done a pretty good job of moving the ball, moving bodies, being difficult to guard, letting our talent show with our spacing, giving our guys freedom to play. And then just defensively with Cal, I mean, they do so much, but again, it's just going to come down to rebounding. They're going to make and take some hard shots, and they're going to sometimes miss some shots that are probably pretty easy looks for them. But if we don't rebound the ball, we are going to have a hard time winning that game on Saturday. And it's something that I know our guys understand, our guys have bought in. And like I said, it's not that we haven't done it in a few games. We just, and for the most part, we haven't been consistent rebounding, and it's showing. And like I said, it's on both ends of the floor. So we're not just working on defensive rebound. Offensive rebound is a huge key to this game as well.
Do you have any update on Reese Waters?
I don't. I know there's another scan coming up here very soon. We'll know more, I would guess, over the next week or so. But as of today, no, there's no updates. And that's one of the things I wish we could talk more about in terms of just how unbelievable he's been with his attitude and how great he's been for our young guys with Taj and Farrell and Magoon and even BJ Davis to an extent, and being someone they can lean on, and he's also been there for Wade McKinney in terms of, okay, you transfer in and everything is new and how, and how to adapt and adapt to a new coaching staff, adapt to our system. When did you get comfortable, Reese? And so Reese has done an unbelievable job from the sidelines, but in terms of an update, no, but he's been as valuable as any coach on our staff in terms of helping this team come along this season, where a lot of guys, when they're hurt, they just kind of sit on the side. They don't say anything to anybody. They're not really engaged. But Reese has done an unbelievable job.
Well, he only scored 24 points against Cal last year. It's 40 plus.
I wish we had him for Saturday. Do not get me wrong. I wish he was on the floor and not sitting next to us.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You look at these box scores in college basketball, Coach. You know it better than I do, but it's like Reese, who's still with you guys, but then Jaden. I think Reese and Jaden last year in that game at San Juan Cap combined for
50,
maybe
60.
something like 50. It was an incredible game, an amazing atmosphere last year in Southern California. This should be fun. Part of a doubleheader. San Diego State and Cal coming up Saturday night. Final non-conference game, believe it or not, for SDSU this season. Coach, always appreciate it. Happy holidays. We'll see you back at Viejas in about a week, and thanks for doing it.
Appreciate you guys having us. If anybody knows any friends up there, we need as much support as we can up in San Jose when we play Cal. Our fans always travel, and it's fun to be out there when we got the loudest cheering section in the room, and I know we probably will again on Saturday. So go Aztecs and have a great holiday season.
Yeah, you might want to drive up north if you're going to the Aztec game tomorrow night.
You might want to start driving right after we did that interview 2 days ago.
Yeah, because travel is brutal right now. The fog is not helping.
You know, the funny thing is usually, I live in University Heights. So when we get done, I always get stuck going south on the 15. But since everybody's going north for the holidays, there's no traffic.
None, for sure.
Not going south. If I was going north, I'd be screwed. But
yeah, south, totally fine. North, screwed. One year I drove home for Christmas. That was a mistake. I think I drove home like the 23rd, and I didn't get home until like the next day. It was awful. But I made that drive so many times before. It's a lot. So hopefully if you're going to the Aztec game tomorrow night, like you make it there, at least on time and get there in one piece. All right, coming up next, we'll wrap up the show with the back page. Stay with us.
All right, Notre Dame is leading Indiana 7-0 right now in the second quarter. 14:40 left there till halftime. Notre Dame's about to score.
To go up 14-0 if they can get this thing in. And once again, I'll be an idiot because I picked Indiana in this game.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was nice. Well, that was fun while it lasted. Good job, Indiana. Jeez. All right, Brett.
So, they could get a stop.
Or not. Or not. First and goal now for the Irish. All right, Brent, let's get to it. Taco Bell, Brent, has launched a new cafe that only serves exclusive drinks in Chula Vista. The cafe is located at 1548 East H Street. They officially launched this past week, taking over an existing Taco Bell drive-thru. The Live Moss Cafe features an expanded drink menu, including refrescas, Taco Bell's take on a fresca and a variety of fruit flavors, and churro chillers, shakes topped with cold foam and churro pieces,
Cinnamon,
available in flavors like Mexican chocolate, Cinnavilla coffee, wild strawberry, and caramel cafe. Guests can also enjoy iced and hot coffees with options such as vanilla crema, Cinnabon caramel, and Mexican mocha. Interesting. The Live Moss Cafe aims to elevate the Taco Bell experience while exploring unique ways to engage customers in the competitive beverage market. So they're testing it out to see how it goes. And we'll see.
Stop trying to be bougie, Taco Bell.
Like you guys are Taco Bell.
You're not bougie, and that's what we love about you. Just do you Taco Bell.
Just
trying to
give me tacos.
Stop with the chicken nuggets and all that. Unless you're gonna make a chicken nugget burrito, which is just a wrap.
Right.
Then you can do that. But
pretty soon they're gonna have burgers there.
Yeah, you're trying too hard, T-Bell.
Yeah, just stick in your lane and do what you do best.
Yes.
Notre Dame's up now 14-0 over Indiana. That game's probably over. Pizza Hut, Brent, is bringing back their triple treat box. The return of the Pizza Hut triple treat box. You know what this is?
Yeah, they do it every year for Christmas.
So for $19.99 this holiday season, you can get a bundle including 2 medium or 1 topping pizzas, a choice of breadsticks or cheese sticks, and a dessert of your choice. Adding to the holiday cheer is the signature packaging, a festive holiday-themed triple-decker box that neatly stacks all 3 menu items for easy carryout. It's the perfect way to simplify your holiday meals while sharing some Pizza Hut joy.
The box is pretty convenient. They should use it year-round, but they don't. It's pretty much... They took 3 boxes and stacked them onto each other. Only they pull out almost like a drawer.
I $20 for all that food?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good deal.
When I had a roommate, we used to get that all the time.
The triple treat box. 2 pizzas, breadsticks, and a cookie. $20. Sign me up. I'm in. Let me just pull this up here. You sent me this today, Brent, and you were so disgusted by it. Me, I'm like, okay. Jared Leto is set to play Skeletor in Amazon's live-action Masters of the Universe movie. I don't know what this is, Brent. Explain it to me.
You don't know what He-Man is?
I know what He-Man. Oh, this is the He-Man universe?
That's what Masters of the Universe is. That's He-Man. Yeah.
Ooh, right over the head.
Yeah, the actual show wasn't called He-Man, Jim. It was called Masters of the Universe.
Oh, see, I didn't. My bad.
Yeah.
So you don't like this casting?
I don't like it just because if this was an animated Masters of the Universe movie, I'd go with it because I can totally hear him doing the Skeletor voice from the cartoons because Jared Leto's got like that high pitched voice anyway. So that I would have been all aboard that. But live action? No.
I think they can make it work. Jared Leto's a good actor, bro.
I don't know. I have beef with Jared Leto. Though.
Look, he
blocked my car in once. So.
He did?
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh yeah, I think I heard that story. I remember that story.
He's the front man of that band 30 Seconds
Yep,
to
that's
Mars.
right. I remember that
And
story.
when I
Yeah.
worked in Wisconsin, they came in to do an interview when they were on tour once, and I finished like an 8-hour shift. I got there at like 3 a.m. I wanted to go home, and the damn tour bus is parked behind me. So I got all mad because I was like, "Whose bus is that?" And they're like, "Oh,
Jared
do you
Leto.
know?" Well, they didn't even know who he was. They said his name wrong. They're like, "Do you know Jared Leto?" I was like, "You mean the dude from American Psycho?" They're like, "Oh yeah, that guy."
That guy.
They're like, "Yeah, that's who's blocking your car, and you have to stay now until he says you can leave."
Funny. Jared Leto boxing in your car. Finally,
it's my random Jared Leto story. I'll go to the grave with.
San Diego State has introduced a new class called Swift Illusions.
Oh God, I don't like where this is going.
It explores Taylor Swift's lyrics through a literal lens. The class uncovers meanings in her lyrics, blending music with classic literature. That class is going to fill up very quickly.
Yeah, because it's going to be easy. It's like, did you ever see Blue Chips? With
No.
Shaq and Nick Nolte. The big joke in Blue Chips was that, none of the actual basketball players went to class, and the class that they all took was called TV.
Just watch TV.
Because they would just watch TV and get A's for it, because that's what all the athletes took, TV.
Oh boy, that's funny. So if you want to take a Swifties class at San Diego State, then there you go. You're all ready to go. All right, that's going to do it for the show. John returns next week, so you get John next week during Christmas. We'll be back together at the end of the year, right before New Year's. So that's when me and John will reunite. If you're traveling, safe travels out there. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Hope you get everything you want from Santa Claus. See you at basketball tomorrow night. Until then, stay right here. San Diego Sports 760. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.